What is up, folks? It's been what, 8 months or more. I have a little one. We had our fourth kiddo. I was gonna, I think I thought I was gonna stream a bunch of times between when I didn't and now, but I have a fun guest tonight, Paul. He's gonna come on. Let me bring him up now. Actually, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's things?
Sounding good. Yeah,
Yeah, good to hear.
plain reality, man. I've followed you for a while. I mean, I've known you like 3 or 3.5 years, but we haven't had like a sit down to get like your backstory. I know that you've got just bukus of amazing footage. And how many cameras do you own now?
Well, actually, I own about 18.
How many are the
Excuse me.
P900, 950, 1000?
Yeah, I've got three P900s, one P950, and I think 14 of P. Well, then there's eight P1000s and six P1100s.
Dang,
I
what's the
just kind of got a bit obsessed, and because when they brought out the P1100, which they said they weren't going to bring out.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
So what I was doing was I was like, oh, look, the P1000 may become a freaking collector's item.
Yeah.
So every time I saw one coming up, I was always checking marketplace because I wanted some more, so I could because I wanted to be able to just focus on one area and then just have one camera pointed there at that one particular spot. And I had sort of five main spots that I wanted camera pointed on, and then I'm like, but now what about if I get ships come in? If I get ships come in, now I want more cameras to be able to focus on ships as well. So
That's
so
so
because I
awesome.
just want to be able to like film one spot, and if I'm there for 3 hours, just have 3 hours of footage just of one area, and then
Man.
have it in different areas. So that way, then if the horizon was changing from distance away from me, I could actually be looking at one area, and you could see the horizon move from that position. And now one camera's pointed at a spot further away. Now I would be able to see it all change further away, and then another one's further away again. So I'd be able to see it changing all over the place. So I get a much better view of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to get into it, the technical. I'll talk about my P1000 and all that, but I'm going to jump back at first. And I just want to know, like, where did you grow up? And are you near where you grew up? Like, where are you now?
I grew up in different parts of South Australia, like mainly sort of more within the Adelaide suburban region in general. Although I did move down with my mum when my parents split up when I was about 8 years old, and then as far as we were concerned as kids, it was all pretty cool. Like my mum and dad got on really well together. Like whether or not they had some sort of thing between them, which I don't think that they did. I think it was all pretty amicable in general.
Hmm.
And so we would live with my mum for a year and then go off and live with my dad for a year. So my dad lived sort of more in the Adelaide region, and my mum lived down at an area called Goolwa or Victor Harbour, which if have you heard of the Murray River? It's one of our main rivers in Australia,
I haven't.
runs way down the east coast. So the mouth of the Murray River, where that goes out into the ocean, that's in Goolwa, an area that we call Goolwa. So my mum moved down there. So we'd spend a year there and then go off and spend a year with my dad. So it was always pretty cool. And then we would just do the typical sort of like once a fortnight with the other parent when you were with the other one.
Yeah. So like, how old were you when they divorced?
I think I was 8. So
Eight. So
it was quite a while ago.
I was I was a senior in high school when my parents divorced. My sister, I only have one sibling, 4 years younger. She was a freshman. It hit her a lot harder because I was kind of like in that transitional period in life where like I was about to go out and do my big thing, and like I had struggled, in relationships, and like I had cheated and been cheated on, and like I kind of understood the flow of like relationships don't work out, but they were married 30 years and split, and
Wow.
I didn't even see any problems. So it was a kind of a shocker. Um, but you're still down under because like you're 15 and a half hours ahead of me, and it threw me off because like we're started the stream for me in Texas at 7 p.m. and it's 10:30 in the morning for you. So you had
Yeah. Yeah.
breakfast
Yeah.
and it's Friday for you and it's Thursday for me. That's just real trippy.
Yeah. Basically, I'm in the future, bro.
Yeah, I know,
So
right?
this conversation for you hasn't even happened yet.
I know tomorrow will come and tomorrow will be good because you're already in tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hilarious. So As far as like conspiracies or basically anything anti-mainstream or just questioning mainstream, because if you think about it, so many people get triggered and upset in Discord. There's so many different conversations, and if a man or a woman has a question against mainstream, it's almost like people get mad that you would even be inquisitive about stuff. So, what kind of got your mind from just believing all the authorities and believing what was on news and TV to start the process of waking up? And was it FE or was it something different?
No, well, I was engaged, about to get married, and 2 months before the wedding, she called it off. She just had some whatever crazy thing years down the track. She was just like, oh, she just said. She eventually said to me, "I just felt like I needed more." I'm like, "Well, why didn't you say that when this was all going on?" But that's just the way life goes. And so then after that, like before that, I was very what you would call normie. What we would generally call normie. I was working in security, nightclub security, so I was just there, enjoying myself, doing what you do.
Mhm.
Very, when I say enjoying myself, whilst I was with her, 100% faithful. But before that, doing whatever I wanted to do. So it was in very Normieville. And then after that, I had all this time in the world because I didn't really have any aspirations to be with anyone else. So I had all this time in the world, and my grandpa had just recently died, maybe about 3 years earlier from cancer. And a friend of mine, soon around that time, is when a documentary called Food Matters came out. I'm not sure if you've seen that one.
I think I've
Um,
seen it. I've seen a few different of the food documentaries.
yeah, so in that they showed the Gerson therapy,
Hmm.
um, which is Max Gerson, and his daughter Charlotte Gerson was in the movie. And they were talking about how back in the 1930s, Max Gerson had figured out this particular diet that he originally designed for his own migraine headaches, and they fixed his migraine headaches. And when he was giving it to other people, then they were saying, "Well, hey, I had what was it, some form of tuberculosis, and that went away." And he's like, "No, that can't be true. Like this is just a migraine headache cure in inverted commas, And they're like, "Well, look, I had it, and I don't have it anymore. So whatever you did, whatever it did, it's not there anymore." So he knew the guy who was like had the biggest clinic for that particular form of tuberculosis, which I forget what it was again. And that guy said to him, "Look, we'll get all my patients on it, and if even just one of them gets cured from your thing, because it was totally incurable at that time, he's like, even if just one person gets cured, I will stand up and listen to what you have to say." Well, 100% of them were cured.
Wow.
Every single person, their tuberculosis, whatever it was, cleared up.
Hmm.
But then it wasn't just that. Some of those people came back to him saying, "Well, I had cancer and my cancer went away, and I had this problem and that went away." So then he was originally like, "Well, no, that can't be true. This is just this diet." So then he from there, then they just kind of tweaked it a little bit, and it turned into what they called the Gerson therapy. And they ended up having to move to Mexico to do it because obviously they're in the US, the Medical Association, the AMA, came down upon them pretty hard because you're not allowed to say that you cure cancer.
Yeah, no doubt.
Um, so then that sort of took my journey down to like, well, hold on, how come I didn't know about any of this?
Right.
I didn't know any of this happened. Like my grandpa died, and there could have been a way that we may have been able to do something for him. I'm not saying that he would have done it in the first place, but I didn't even know that this kind of thing even existed. So then that was my first opening to like, oh well, hold on, there's a different part of reality in a way that I know nothing about.
Hmm.
There's things that are technically being hidden from us, and then that started me. Then I started looking into people like Max Egan. I'm not sure if you know Max Egan.
I
He's an
haven't.
Australian documentary filmmaker.
What was his
Um,
whole claim to fame?
he's a little bit not all over the place, but how could you say he's done quite a few documentaries. He did one called trans transhum not transhumanation transformation, which
Mm.
was about transhumanism.
Oh wow.
And where he showed, so Dave Weiss talks about how the lady who then eventually got him to look at flat Earth was a lady named Sophia Smallstorm.
Right. Right.
Sophia Smallstorm, I got introduced to her by Max Egan because on his documentary transformation, there was a small clip from Sophia Smallstorm talking about chemtrails and how people were getting what were these little fibers coming out of them from Morgellons disease. And
Hmm.
through Morgellons disease, they were getting these fibers and they were in these heavily chemtrailed areas. So that's how I got an introduction to Sophia Smallstorm and then started looking into her as well. But through Max Egan and his documentaries, that then started waking me up to a few other things as well. So then I started looking into other areas.
Man,
But-
that's intense and awesome. As you're talking about transhumanism, my avenue to that topic was through this guy named Will. I don't know if you've seen his channel. The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. It's all lowercase, but truth is capitalized. The truth
Mhm,
is stranger than fiction. He's a believer, but also a biblical cosmology guy, and really produces amazing videos. His editing is really good. He has a way of like changing mainstream footage so it doesn't get flagged. Like he'll put kind of blur it, or he just is really good at editing things together. I think a lot of the times the music that he uses in the video um, is his own, and he's legendary. I've watched many of his videos, and he talks about the whole transhumanism thing. He really helped me like understand that like um, evolution and the millions or billions of years kind of lie or story is tied to um, you know heliocentrism. It's like they're married,
mhm.
and he talks about like the Trojan horses and like all this stuff is just a front on our mind, and that's pretty interesting. To respond to your medical, like your first little thing was like, wait a second, wasn't I shown this, or why was this hidden from me? I don't know. You may have heard my wife is actually a practicing physician now. So she's family med and sports med, and she has a degree in biology, and she went to, um, you know, med school, promising to go into the Air Force. So she
Right.
did. I mean, when we first got married, it was 8 years active duty. She was a doc, and she even went and did sports medicine training and then acupuncture. So she's well versed in
Mhm,
what she does because she's a DO. So like people, they don't know the difference. Like an MD, like, oh, you're a doctor, like an MD. She is that as far as training goes, but she did additional schooling to become a DO, so doctor of osteopathy, and um, she takes extra school for the muscular, the lymphatic, and the skeletal system. So she does a lot of like manipulation. So if a patient comes in and their shoulders jacked up, rather than her mind being like, what pill or shot can I do, she'll get her hands on there and like try to get things back into the position, like help the body remember the position it's supposed to be in and stuff like
mhm.
that. So, I woke up just straight up. One of my friends from seventh grade, eighth grade, all the way up through high school, he told me one day, bro, outer space is not what you think, because I had sent him
Yes, that's deep.
oh
That's
dude,
straight into it.
I sent him a picture of like the Earth, like tiny Earth, and then the big sun next to it, and like some
Yeah.
humongous supposed star or whatever, way bigger than the
Yeah,
sun.
yeah.
And I sent it out to a bunch of people, and I said, "The heavens declare the glory of God. Like, look at this creation. Like, look at what He did." And then he responded, like, "I don't think that's real. It's CGI. It's sci-fi. Like, I think we live in an enclosed realm." That the luminaries are all much closer. You can't go to space. Space isn't real. Like he really flat smacked me hard, and I had not even heard the word. I had never heard the term flat Earth, but I started looking into it, and then I mean, the whole long story was like FE, and then history. Much of history is a lie. Dinosaurs aren't what we were told they were. Nuclear weapons, possibly like the nuclear bomb hoax, and then
Mhm.
the medical stuff like terrain theory, virus theory, kind of
Yep.
debate. And my wife was fine, like with all the stuff I was bringing to her. She's like, that's so countercultural. Like, why are you looking into that? That's kind of weird. But I told her, like, as a man, I just said, look, if we know there's a deception, many deceptions out there. If we're being lied to about these things, I just at least want to study and look and dig into the different topics. And she let me. Um, but as soon as I started talking about contagion not being proven or the virus not being isolated, it was sort of like that was me stepping on her history,
Yeah,
and
yeah, for sure.
there was contention but not fighting. And she's woken up quite a bit to a lot of that stuff. She's left the mainstream medicine. She started her own practice to where she can practice much more holistically. And anyway, we'll probably have some back and forths, with our similar story. But what got you? How did you first hear that we might not be living on a spinning, orbiting planet? And like, how was that for you? What's the story there?
Well, that was more just through recommendations from YouTube because, back around that 2015 mark, I'm not too sure when you got into it, but, sort of 2014, 2015, while you're just watching other things that are technically classified as conspiratorial, to the side there on the right hand side in the recommendation list, all this stuff with flat Earth kept coming up, and by that time I actually was at a point by then because it was probably more like 20 would have been 2011 when I really started delving deep into it. But if in fact we want to go actually way back further, even though I was a normie, I remember when I was about 12 years old, and it was the first time that I paid attention to politics. And excuse me, I'm not sure which team it was, whether it was the Liberals or the Labours, because that's what we call them over here, left or right. I'm not sure which one it was, but throughout the entire thing, like one team was going, hey, we should do this, and the other team was going, that's a really bad idea, well, we shouldn't do that, that's terrible. And then the other team won, and they did exactly what the other group said they were going to do, but they were the whole time saying it was a bad idea. And I went, wait a minute, you guys are a bunch of liars. This is full of it. What is going on here? And all the adults were just going along with it. I'm like, kind of thinking like, this is just crazy. These people are clearly liars, and you're all just accepting it. So even though I was sort of like still totally asleep, when it came to politics, I was like, yeah, this is all bullcrap. Like, I never believed any of it. The moment one of them is telling you this is what's going on, I'm like, yeah, I don't believe you for a second. And virtually every time they go completely against what they said to start with, and then they just start doing what they said they wouldn't do. So I was kind of already on a sense of like had this disbelief of certain things, but apart from that, I was a total normie. And then, oh yeah, so getting back to flat Earth, that's what we were on it, were we?
How you were how you like first heard about, well, you said that the YouTube was popping up, and to answer your question,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
only 3.5 years in, so I had to literally be sent stuff because YouTube was
Mm.
hiding it all when I first came.
Yeah, yeah. So when I first saw it, just in my recommendation list, I didn't actually watch any of it, but I remember looking at it, going, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if that's also true. Like, because everything else I'm looking at, there is just like a totally different story, a totally different reality to what's actually going on. And so then I'm like looking at that, and I just sort of kept looking at it for a while, and I was just basically ignoring it because I was deep into looking into other parts of health and all that sort of thing, health, diet, nutrition, all that sort of stuff. So I was way more deeper into that. So I was concentrating on that. And then one day, I can't remember whether it was 200 proofs or whether it was ODD. I'm pretty sure it was one of those two. It was either 200 proofs or ODD's 21 questions. And then I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting, actually. And I remember I did the typical thing. I made a comment. I'm like, well, if I'm on the east coast of Australia, why can't I see America? That typical. And then someone actually replied in the comments. They're like, well, hey, you've got waves, you've got haze, you've got all these different things that could be going on. Plus, you've got America's 13,000 miles away. It's far too tiny for you to even consider seeing it. And I didn't go, oh, they're an idiot, typing back like a warrior. I just went, okay, yeah, that's all cool. That's fair enough. That's
Right.
decent answers. I mean, how can I argue with that? Because we've all seen haze before. Like I've got it out here where just the hills that are 30 miles away, there are days you can't see them at all. They're completely gone in the haze. So it's like, well, if something at only just 30 miles away disappears in the haze, and there are times when you're actually looking out and everything just looks blue. So it's like as if the color of the sky just it's almost in front of it. Whatever's causing that blue just is in that position in front of those hills, and they're almost completely gone in that case. So then what would happen over another 100 miles? Like that bluing there would just completely wipe those out. You
Yeah.
wouldn't see them. So I just kind of agreed. I went, okay, yeah, that's a fair enough risk. Like, that's a fair enough excuse. Like, I can't really argue with that excuse, even though people do when you say it. They
Yeah.
go, oh, that's ridiculous. But it's ridiculous to even argue against that.
It's interesting to hear your response because there's something different about certain people, and I'm not going to sit here and say that you and I are better than others, but there's definitely something different that didn't have the cognitive dissonance kick up so hard. Like I think a lot of people, they hear like FE or whatever, and then they just immediately say, no, that's too stupid. No, they just put a big black X across the box as no, almost like I'm never going to entertain it. I'm never going to actually look into it. I'm not going to question it. Because I think the people that have woken up, they had the ability to hold the globe Earth completely intact. Everything we're taught about the solar system and all the speed, like, okay, here it is. It's fine. Let me just set it here. And then what is this idea of a stationary realm that's not curving away at every angle or whatever? And that's how I woke up, was to hold the two without being married to either one.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
and as soon as I started to investigate, it's like, I don't know if this happened for you, but I was just kind of like, whoa, like, where have you been, moon? Like, I didn't look at the moon the way I looked at it after having the question, and the
Hmm.
stars. And I did get a P1000 early on, just to zoom in and like just see. And the next thing you know, like, all of nature almost became alive. And like you said, the health journey, like, not only what's out there for real in reality, truthfully, but what's in here. Like, what is true health? How do I get my body to heal from, after workouts, or if I am quote unquote sick, do I need to take different pharmakia medicines that will suppress symptoms, or should I just hydrate and rest and let my body run its course as long as I don't have a high fever? And like lately,
Hmm.
like, I haven't taken anything over the counter. No more flu shots for me. I don't want any of that stuff, because I think if you pick organic foods, let food be thy medicine, and mindset, like, if you're not living in fear and you're eating properly and you're not scared all the time, you're joyful and you're grateful and you're pursuing the truth and digging into topics. I think that that is called being alive and being inquisitive. And so it seems like you had the same mindset. So good on you for not, but I mean, do you know, like, you've talked to a ton of people. I mean, I'm 45, and so you're probably close to the same age. Was it
Yeah, a
something
little
about,
bit older.
was it something, you look good, brother. Was it something about how we were raised to where we played outside, our feet were in the dirt? Like, I was around before pagers were even here, and I would go
Yeah.
out when the sun came up, and I wouldn't even come home till the sun was going down, sometimes after dark, and my mom was never
Yep.
scared.
And they never cared. Your
They
parents
never
never cared. They'd be like, "Yeah, see you later,"
Yeah,
and you'd be
right.
looking around, going, "Oh, it's getting dark. Better go home."
So do you have
You
any
know?
feedback on, like, what's the mechanism that lets people wake up versus makes them just hard-nosed anti-flat earthers?
Yeah. Well, I think there's that saying that it's the mark of an intelligent mind to be able to hold two conflicting thoughts without believing either of them. But I'm not sure if to say that it's the mark of an intelligent mind. I think it's probably more the mark of an inquisitive mind, because obviously there's many super intelligent people that are just cannot look into other things that go against what they believe, and they can't hold two thoughts. It's like, well, I've been taught this is the only way it can be. Well, they're not dumb. They're still intelligent. So I don't think it's right to say that it's the mark of an intelligent mind. I think more to say it's the mark of maybe an inquisitive or a curious mind.
Hmm.
That would kind of make more sense to me. And then you have, I guess, the Agent Smith complex.
Yep.
You've heard of that one,
Oh
yeah?
yeah.
The way that people
You
refer to it as
you
the
can
Agent Smith
explain it
complex,
if other people haven't heard it. You can explain it.
right? So the Agent Smith complex. I don't know if that's how the exact wording for it, but it's referring to the Matrix, in where anyone within the Matrix can at any moment turn into Agent Smith. So you're dealing with a person, and then you say something that conflicts with their reality, and they instantly turn into Agent Smith. So you might say to them, "Hey, I think I've been seeing all this stuff to do with flat Earth," and they go, "Oh, flat Earth! Oh, you're an idiot!" And they just start going off. That instantly they just change from this person to being this complete different person. Well, that's the Agent Smith complex.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that happens to a lot of people.
Yep.
But then I mean, that can happen to people with all kinds of things, and it's like, how do they say it? That where like sometimes you need to hear something 3 times, or sometimes you might need to hear it 100 times. You might talk to someone today and they don't believe a word you say. And then in 3 years' time, they come back to you going, "Hey, man, you were right." Or like maybe they even come back to you in a few years' time going, "Hey, I heard this, blah, blah, blah." And you go, dude, I told you that 3 years ago. And they're like, oh, did you? You're like, yeah, but you called me an idiot, like, and now you're coming to me going like, hey, maybe this is what's going on. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I think as well.
Hmm.
So it's like sometimes, as they say, you're the catalyst that you're the person that first introduces something to someone, and they're not really going to pay attention to you because they're doing the Agent Smith thing. But
Hmm.
then they hear it from someone else and they hear it from someone else. And then maybe they go off and they read an article or they read something about it. And then next thing you know, their mind starts clicking and then they come around. And they're not always going to come around to your way of thinking, but maybe that's what actually does it. They had to hear it 10 times from 10 different people before they got there.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I've seen it. Have you run across Stephen A. Young, Dr. Stephen A. Young before?
I've heard the name, I'm pretty sure.
He's the one that wrote the book A Fool's Wisdom, and then you've heard Mark Gober. Both
I've
these
heard of Mark
gentlemen,
Gober, yeah.
Mark Gober, Princeton graduate, magna cum laude, in the finance world and stuff. Well, both of these men, they're pretty good friends, and they've been to the same conferences. I met them both at Confluence. So Confluence is put on by The Way Forward, which I've started to get more and more involved with. Alex Zeck, The Way Forward. Highly recommend their platform. I'll drop a link in a little while if people are curious, because they do live stream, like they get on Zoom quite often to do breath work and just different focused, things, which is really awesome. But they threw Confluence and had a bunch of speakers come down, a lot of truthers. Many of them are flat earthers, but it was a lot more, the medical, and then also kind of like just like different folks talking about everything is an agreement or everything's an offer. I think it was Tom Barnett was there. He legendary, and Cal Washington was there. Um, yeah. So I was bringing up Mark Gober and Dr. Stephen A. Young. So Steve, he graduated, or he has a master's in physics, and he has a PhD in nuclear theoretical physics. And in the
Right.
world of nuclear theoretical physics, he was like the top. And he ended up really looking into like the whole story of relativity and just really investigating like the theory of like the atom, and realized that it was just stories men came up with. And he ended up leaving the field. He was a DJ for quite a while. He's got a fantastic channel. I'll have to remember to drop it as well. Um, but yeah, man, it just shows you that someone hyper in the field,
Mhm.
literally, they could wake up if you have the right mindset. That
Yeah, and
inquisitive mind, right? So
yeah, and people like that are the system's worst nightmare. It's
yeah.
like when a doctor wakes up, because you and I can say what we wanna say. We can say whatever, but someone's gonna go, "Well, you're not qualified. You don't really know what you're talking about."
Hmm.
And then you get a doctor who wakes up, and now they can read all the science, they understand everything, and if they come back now saying, "Hold on, there's something else going on here,"
Right.
they now just have to call them an outlier and kinda like just almost virtually try to ignore them more than pay attention to them. They just need to ignore them, cut them from the registry, get rid of them, just try to get rid of them altogether and just ignore them because
Yeah.
they can't really just properly debunk what they're saying because they have all the qualifications. So people
Absolutely.
like that are the system's worst nightmare. When the people who are educated actually wake up, then the system comes down upon them quite hard, but just for a short period of time, they try to just shut up about them.
Yeah. I
You know,
mean, you got Tom Cowan, legend, Andy Kaufman, Sam Bailey and her husband, some folks like this. I mean, the list goes on of these doctors that they've been doctors for 20 or 30 years, programmed and trained a specific way. And then they do question like, wait a minute. And they are the system's worst nightmare. I've listened to Crow 777 radio. Have you caught episodes on that?
I've only ever sort of seen some of his first halves.
Yeah, the first half is free. The first hour is free. Second half you got to
Yeah,
pay
yeah,
for. I think it's like $7 or $9 a month. I've been just like an ongoing member, even though I don't have time to catch. If you try to stay caught up on all the topics and all the stuff, all the content, there's no way, especially with the family, because I'm more interested in serving the Creator, staying in the right kind of relationship with Him, and then loving my wife well and raising our kids. Like that's first and foremost. That's probably why I haven't been streaming, but um, yeah, man, the journey is worth it. I've enjoyed it. I don't think any of it has caused me headaches. Like there are trolls that will call you names. I mean, I'm not worried about what other men think of me or what they have to say. Like, I get to ask questions. I get to be inquisitive. And you know what? If I'm wrong about any of the things that I think I'm right about, it's no big deal. Like, I'm not hurting anybody by seeking knowledge and seeking
Yeah.
wisdom. And I'm just going to be me. And so that's kind of why I even started YouTubing and putting my face out there. Like, the name Run Boston Bear, the Run Boston part is because I've run the Boston Marathon 13 years in a row. This April is going to be the 14th year in a row. So, like, being a distance runner, being an athlete, that's kind of like what I always did before I got into marriage, got married. And then the bear part was because the guy who woke me up, he was following Owen Benjamin, and Owen Benjamin's awakening to FE is hilarious. Like, he
Yeah.
didn't want to do it, and he pushed and pulled against it. And he was very public about how he searched it out. You probably saw it.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, Run Boston Bear, great screen name. I can hide behind this name. I can go into chats. I can go into Discord and ask my questions.
Yeah.
And then I got on. See, I didn't really like the chat. I don't really like the trolls or how long you can get stuck in the chats and the comments and the
Yep.
replies, because I realized, like, there are bot farms out there. Or how do I know that this is an AI responding? Like, this is ridiculous. And so I pretty much just made it to where I'm on voice in Discord channels. I really like Earth Awakenings, Ether Cosmology, and just a few like that. Because if you're using your voice and you're communicating to another human being, there's more of a connection, and they can tell. Like, generally I won't trigger people because I'm like, look, man, if you think aliens seeded you here, that's fine. If you don't believe in God, you don't think there's a creator, specifically, you don't think the God of the Bible is legit or real, or you don't believe Jesus was actually here, that doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't make me want to lash out at you and tell you anything like, oh, you're going to go to hell. Like, I don't have that response because I'm not the judge. I'm not.
Mhm.
And I could even say, you know what? I don't have proof for any of this. I don't have hard, fast proof. I just can tell my testimony. Like, I gave my life to the Messiah 15 years ago. It turned my course from just drugs and women and partying and trying to, like, be cool and funny and stack money, which seemed like the thing to do for, a teenager through my mid 20s, seemed like what everybody was doing. Turned from that and just said, Jesus, I want to do things different because I've wrecked my life. And so now I've been living 15 years on this path, and it's produced peace, patience, kindness, goodness, and self control. They're fruits of the Spirit. I know there's like another couple, but I didn't just make that up in my life. I didn't just pretend to be a nicer guy or have peace in hard situations. Like, it grew in me. And my
Mhm.
wife and our relationship and my 4 children, it's so beautiful. I just want to tell people who want to know, this is the road I've been on, from this, like, calamity and darkness and depravity to peace and this life. Like, and I gotta say, if you say the prayer and you, like, start following Jesus, you're not guaranteed health and happiness and a great wife and a wonderful marriage. Like, we live in a fallen world, and
Mhm.
cancer happens to good people, and people die from accidents. You know what I mean? So I'm just living my life, doing the best I can, but I can tell people I'm not sure about any of it. I just have the fruits, and then they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, thanks for telling me, your story." And they move on, and I move on, and I don't judge them. And they might think I'm crazy, but I am who I am now in public because I think the truth is worth pursuing. My face is out there because I'm not ashamed of asking these questions, and you know, feels really good to share that. I mean, I know I wanted to start this a little bit with a little bit more interview, but
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
it's
like
all good, man.
I've been talking quite a bit. Do you have anything
No,
else you want
no,
to
it's all
share
good. Yeah.
personally before we look into some of the stuff that you found with your cameras?
No, well, I was just going to say as well with what your story was there is, the classic thing is to really be the change that you want to see. So
Hmm.
if you want to see that change in people and the way that people are going to become, if you want, not that you want people to become more like you in a sense, but like if you just be the person that you are, and that's kind of how you want people to evolve into something more along those lines. So okay, so you're religious, you believe in Jesus, you have that sense. If you want people to be that way, to live your best life and to show that you are living your best life is the best way for people to look and go, maybe there really is something to what RBB is doing. Maybe
Yeah.
he's really following a good path because, like, look at the way his life's going. He's
Hmm.
doing really well, and since he's done that, everything's changed for him, and his life's getting better. Maybe there's something to that. because that's the way it works. Like if you be the change you want to see in other people, then other people are going to see that change in you, and hopefully, or well, not. I'm not saying hopefully. I'm not saying that people have to follow your path, but you know what I mean by that. Like hopefully, then people can see that change in you and make that change within themselves.
Yeah, that's well said. And if I was to put another layer on like this whole thing I just said, the other layer on top of all that is um, I'm not quick to judge or get angry. Like if somebody attacks me with their mouth, like if they're just verbally saying things to me, that doesn't hurt me. Like it's not going to hurt me. It's just words. Somebody thinks I'm uneducated or stupid because I don't, know all the formulas or can't like debate like Austin Whitsitt. But I also let people be like I lovingly let people be where they're at because I don't want to change anybody. I don't want to push a religion on anybody. I don't want anybody to follow my exact path because I mean, I did it and it was for me. And I also think like wherever another person is, like say they watch this video later, wherever you are, you probably aren't going to be right there in 6 months or in 5 years.
Hmm.
And so why would I get so mad or upset if a person has like a hang up or a problem or they're not quite as polished or as friendly or whatever? Because maybe they'll go through an experience that will be like, oh, I'm kind of bitter or I'm angry or I'm carrying this whatever animosity or I've got this tension in me. Maybe they'll release that and then they'll be a very very beautiful person in no time. So why am I pissed at them now? Because I mean if you look at my past, I was a train wreck. And I think for people that have had either a dark past or been through a lot of heavy situations and come out the other side, I think that they do have a bigger capacity to love or show grace and show mercy. And that's where I'm at, man. Just trying to love people the best I can. I do think quite a bit of this realm is frequency and vibration and energy. You know what I mean? Really, I know people are like, oh, that sounds new agey, RBB. Is that new age? No, I just mean our thoughts are more powerful than we think. And we were raised in a world where they throw stuff up on the TV, literal programming, television,
Hmm.
programming our minds, manipulating us. There's tests, there's these crazy things that have been just pushed onto us. And I think what Effie has done for me is back away from all the nonsense, make a little bit of distance between me and the noise, plug back into nature. And my favorite part, plug into people, like plug into them, see where they're at, love them without judgment. And honestly, I've been super happy making relationships with people that think differently than me. Quite a bit of times people are like, RBB, he's my favorite Christian that I know because I think I live in a way to where I don't have judgment for anybody. I want to love them. I want to be friendly to them. I want to hear them out. Like I want to hear what you actually have to say. I'm not thinking about what I want to say while you're speaking. And so I think if everybody just operated that way, just like slowed down a little bit and maybe even open their eyes for the first time to just how beautiful and unique everybody around us is, especially our local community, but even online, like slow down a little bit, man. It's not life or death. If you don't prove your point or win the debate by the end of the day, you're not going to be killed. So can we just talk about it and talk
Yeah,
about it in
yeah,
a more
yeah.
gentle way?
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird thing, like you said, open your eyes there, and it's the general term is that well, when you see all these things, you're now awake, and it's like I don't think anyone needed to be told that term. People just started using it, and then it turned into woke, which was a totally different thing. But to be awake, people say, yeah, I felt like I must have been sleeping in a way before because all those things were going on, but I just didn't see them. And I think it's also a part of what people would have called the secret or the law of attraction and all those kind of things. And it's like, well, all these things are going on in front of you. They're right there. And you can say the universe, you can say God's putting it there. People can say many different things on what they believe that is, but it's like they're always there. But if you're not in tuned in the right frequency for it, you don't even see it. It doesn't even exist to you. Just as the example of like, say maybe you go out and you buy some big red Ford truck, right? And you'd never even seen Ford trucks before. You hadn't even really looked at them. And all of a sudden you go buy one. And next thing you know, they're driving past you constantly. You see 50 of them every day. And you're like, my God, they were driving past you every day. You just didn't see them because they weren't in your frequency. You weren't paying attention to that.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like where that all goes as well. Like,
exactly.
so with where you're at and the way that you may influence someone is that you know, how you just said, oh, people say RBB is my favorite Christian. Well, then maybe that means that in 15 years' time, they start looking into it
Hmm.
just because of the interactions that they had with you 15 years earlier.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're going to change straight away. They could be like, you know, in their 30s, and by the time they hit their 50s or mid 50s, they're starting to go like, wow, I'm starting to see a lot of things differently now. And I think I can feel God and the presence of God coming into my life now. I didn't
Hmm.
notice it before, but now all of a sudden something else happens, and they start remembering all the times that they intermixed with you, mingled with you, and they're just like, you know, and now these things start kicking in their brain, and they just have a total different reset of how they were, and now they're awake to all these different things that they didn't experience before.
Man.
They were always there.
Hmm.
They just didn't see it,
Yeah.
you know,
And
and then
that's
that's why we say we're now awake,
yeah.
because it's like you were sleeping.
Hmm.
And, you know, it's like 1 minute that didn't exist, and the next minute, oh wow, now it does exist. But no, it existed the whole time. There was a classic one where I'm not sure if you saw it, but I'm not too sure if it was during the no, it wasn't during the actual presidential thing, but it might have been during the presidential race there in America, but there was a thing where Biden and Obama and a few other people were on a stage, and then they were walking off, and Biden just froze, and he froze for 8 seconds, just looking at nothing, just like, huh, and he just stopped. And then a bunch of people pointed it out, and then Jimmy Dore pointed it out. So Jimmy Dore's like, oh, you know, look at this tweet, blah, blah, blah. So I went and looked at that tweet, and the clip that Jimmy Dore showed was one entire clip. Didn't change, nothing different about it. One entire clip. And then this other person said, oh, no, no, he didn't freeze. Look, I found the actual clip. I found the uncut clip. And you see it's at a zoomed in point, and then it zooms out all of a sudden. When he freezes, it zooms out. And then when Obama comes and touch him and he starts moving, it zooms back in again. So
Hmm.
it's clearly a cut footage, right?
Hmm.
Because it's not cut if it's zooming in and zooming out. Someone's done these different cuts in there to do that. And there are all these people in the comments going, thanks for showing us the uncut video. And I'm like, well, are these people actually looking at? What are they looking at? And then there was someone who showed the actual uncut video, and people were commenting on that one saying, oh, this video has been edited and cut and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, are these people bots? Like, I was in shock. I didn't really even know how to take it. I'm like, this is insane. There's people commenting on how the cut video is not cut and the uncut video is cut.
Hmm.
I'm like, what are these people even looking at? And then really that dawns on you to just really go like, well, when people don't want to see something, they just won't see it. And when they
Yeah.
do want to see something in particular, that is what they'll see. And it doesn't matter what you tell them. Like, I mean, that was clear. Like, it was so obvious. Like, how can you say that a video that zoomed in and zoomed out wasn't cut?
Right.
Right. But people were going, oh, thanks for showing us the uncut video. And I was just, I don't know. It's hard to even explain how in shock in a way I was to just seeing people that deluded that they can just literally say that. That's why I don't even know if they were bots, but
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't believe that.
Coherence in the chat. Victoria, she said some say 75% activity online is AI, bots, etc. And I will tell you, I've had a few thoughts of like, is this a real person, or like, what is this ad? Like, we're
Mm,
we're now in the age where AI and stuff's getting produced, and the line between what's real and what's not is kind of getting kind of like confusing. I feel bad for like the boomer generation because they're probably thinking like the whole
yeah.
world's already blown up and gone crazy. But how long have we been seeing, I'm not going to say TV personalities, but sometimes like you have a person that's real, maybe they're a newscaster or something, but are they really there clocking in, sitting there as a person, or are they just showing us an AI of them? And I don't think we'll get to the bottom of that, but there's so much fakery. There's the mask, there's the trickery. I think if it's coming across a screen, like the black screen of our phone and the black screen of our TVs, I just
Mhm.
kind of slow down a little bit, question it. I don't
It's the
just
Black
take it
Mirror
on
of olden
like,
days.
right, right,
You know, it's mirror, mirror on the wall.
right. I had a question pop in my mind because you talked about your journey and you were talking about like the health stuff. Just for fun, I was wanting to know, like, what do you do to feel great and have energy and sleep the best? And do you ground and do you fast, or what do you eat? What have you found to be like the way to go, health, as far as health goes for the human body?
Well, I mean, for me, I went down the journey of 100% plant based. So I've been 100% plant based for probably close to 14 years now.
Oh, wow.
And like for me, that works extremely well. I don't understand when people say that it doesn't, because when I first went into it, I wasn't super healthy. I wasn't necessarily unhealthy. I went complete vegetarian for about 4 months, where I was eating still a lot of eggs and all that kind of stuff. And then I switched from that to being 100% plant based. My first, like, I actually did that about 20 years ago, but then my ego took over. I lost too much weight, and my ego got the better of me because I was doing security and training hard in martial arts as well. So, I didn't, when I lost a whole stack of weight, it was just purely an ego thing. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. So I just went back to how I was. And then, so that's why when I first started it, I actually Googled, well, how can I not lose weight but eat this way?
Mhm.
And then it was like people were saying, you just need to eat more because it's obviously not as calorie dense. So you need to eat more. So I just started smashing huge 2 liter smoothies and, doing all like just, I was having so much, it was ridiculous. And I actually gained 9 kilos in 6 months. So I didn't lose weight, I gained weight. I gained weight and I got stronger. So, I started at that time when I was going pretty hard back at that time. I ended up doing almost 750 kilogram leg presses
Dang.
for reps, not for single reps. That was for reps at the time,
Hmm.
for up to 15 reps on that sort of thing. And so everything, I actually got like way stronger. And then the best I ever felt was actually when I went 100% raw. So
Okay.
when I ate zero cooked food at all, and in fact, when I was predominantly vegetarian, now I'm not vegetarian, fruitarian. So at that point, I lost a lot of weight because I was doing a huge amount of detoxing as well. Because I didn't really care at that time. I didn't really bother me. I lost a lot of the ego dealing with that anyway. So when I was doing the whole raw and fruitarian, that's when I felt the absolute best that I've ever felt in my life. That's just insane. Like you're so clear. It's like, I guess, because that the longest detox that I did at that time was 2 months, where I spent 2 weeks just eating watermelon. Then I spent 2 weeks eating only grapes, and then I went a week on orange juice, a week on water, and then I did 2 weeks on grapes again,
Wow.
something like that. So that's like a kidney lymphatic system detox, a lung detox. So the orange juice clears out your lungs and gets rid of mucus. The grapes clear out your lymphatic system and clean that. And the watermelon is amazing for your kidneys. So you're getting this complete regeneration of your kidneys, your adrenal glands, your lymphatic system, and clearing your lungs out. So that was pretty amazing. But obviously, I dropped a lot of weight, and then I did an almost 5 day dry fast. So
Wow.
108 hours. I specifically chose 108 because of the Chinese and the dealing with the number 108.
Oh my gosh.
So I could have gone longer, but I had set myself this goal of 108 hours. So it got to 108, and then I just sort of moved on from there. And that was pretty amazing. It was almost like all I wanted to do the entire time was sit and meditate. I didn't really want to do anything else. So when you're dry fasting, it was pretty amazing. That was a really good feeling. But then now, yeah, I do a little bit of grounding, not a lot, but I do a bit because I am outside a fair bit. So I'll go out onto my grass area at the back, and I'm setting up a back to Eden garden in my backyard. So I've got about 150 square meters, which is 1 square meter is 9 feet,
Hmm.
9 square feet. So 150 of those. So what's that? About 1,300 square feet or so
Hmm.
of back to Eden garden in my backyard.
Wow.
So I've been sort of preparing that and getting that ready, and we're just about to go into summer shortly. So I will start. I should have already just planted my summer veggies, but I'm about to do that. I've been too busy getting all this done and doing what I've been doing with all of this.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'll be starting that. So I've had to be out there picking a few weeds because I laid all the wood chips down and just kind of left it, and then all these little plants started growing from the seeds that were in the wood chips. So I've actually been out there just in bare feet doing a lot of picking all those out and sort of getting all that ready. So I've been doing a bit of grounding doing that. And then now when I go to the beach, now that it's warming up, I take my shoes off and I walk on the sand, and I'll just sometimes be out there for 4 or 5 hours just standing on the sand, which is pretty nice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of the main things that I do. Um, I can be pretty bad with my sleep. I know that I should be getting to bed earlier, but I don't know why. There's this procrastination thing that just keeps happening
Hmm.
where you're just doing something, and next thing you know, it's 12 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, damn, it's 12
Yeah.
o'clock again. I got to go to bed. What are you doing? And then I tell myself, oh, look, come on, you got to stop doing what you're doing at 10. You're going to be in bed by 10:30. Next
Yeah.
thing I know, the next day it's 12 o'clock again. I'm like, oh, gee, let's go to bed.
It happens
Yeah.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, because the kids they go down at maybe 8 or 8:30, and then I'll want to do just a little tinkering or like, oh, let me see what's going on. I'll hop into Discord. I'll listen to something. I mean, and then next thing you know, it's midnight or 1 or 2, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, because you know you're going to pay for it the next day. You're going to feel pretty
Exactly.
terrible. So, I did want to mention your start. What you just shared was it blew my mind with the fasting because I recently with the the way forward they have this coherence thing going on where I dropped coffee completely cold turkey probably like I don't even know 12 or 15 days ago at this point.
Hmm.
And it was gonna be rough. I think I really was gonna have a hangover from that because I drank 40 ounces of coffee like every single day the same way. I did like the pretty much like the bulletproof coffee. I would put a tablespoon of unsalted grass-fed butter in there. I'd put collagen in there and blend it up. And I just would have like two big 24-ounce mugs every day. And sometimes it would take me until noon to finish it because I would my stainless steel thermos would keep it so hot I would just sip it till maybe 1 o'clock. So I dropped that. I thought I was gonna have some bad withdrawals, but I started intermittent fasting just because I never had, and I already was making one big change, and so I was doing like 15 or 16 hours and then 18 hours. And then I did a 20 hour. And then the people in the group were like, hey, we're going to do a 24-hour fast tomorrow. And I was like, oh man. And my brain was like, I don't know if I can do a 24-hour fast with the
Yeah.
20 that I just did. So I had like a 1 hour, 1.5 hour eating window where I ate clean, ate good. And I mean, we generally eat organic, clean as we can, try to get things with like as small as ingredients as you can because um, for me, I'm going to kind of tell two stories in once. Dropping all the like hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, all the seed oils, dropping that out of my life and taking my sunglasses off made it to where I don't get like sunburned at all. I used to always be in shades because I have light blue eyes. I thought I needed to protect my eyes, and now like I'll sun gaze, a couple times a day when the sun's at the right point. And my skin and everything just a couple things like I don't have to wear crazy amounts of deodorant. Sometimes I won't wear deodorant at all. I don't stink. My breath doesn't smell. And overall, I just feel better doing that. But to get back to the fasting story, I started the 24-hour fast, came to the point to where I could have stopped it because I started it at like 5:30 in the afternoon. So it came back around or in the evening. It came back around and I told my wife, it's like, I don't know if I want to eat dinner. Like I feel so good. I've had clean energy all day. I don't even think I've been hungry. So I was like, I'll just eat breakfast tomorrow. Breakfast came. It's like, I still feel good. And long story short is I
Hmm.
ended up doing 72 hours, which is 3 days,
Nice.
just
Yep.
on water. And I did add salt to the water because sometimes I would get pretty hungry and I would just basically make like tea, like hot water with salt. And it almost to me tasted like broth. Um, but the experience going 3 days, having never really experienced fasting before, I got to feel what does my energy feel like? Like, what does my pure energy feel like? And it
Hmm.
was almost emotional. While I was fasting, I was trying to tell my mom about it. It was almost emotional because it seems like I was addicted to the caffeine high, and I almost would like move to the coffee pot like a slug or something. And I would tell everybody around me, like, oh, don't talk to me yet. I got to have my coffee. And I would sip, 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 and I would try to get this certain level of buzz before I felt like myself and could address the world. And I don't know if I'm going to go back to it. So I think that more fastings in my future just to see, because I really wanted to get to that point of autophagy. And the reason I'm telling you all this is to like tell you, I can't believe you did a 5 day dry. That's just bonkers. You're a legend and you're strong. And I got to do something, man, because My lower left leg, like in my heel, like my heel area, Achilles tendon, calf is just kind of tight and it won't let
Right.
go. I can go
Yeah.
run 2 miles or 5 miles right now, no problem. Like while I'm running, I'll feel like $1,000,000. But the next day, like in the morning, I'll get out of bed and it'll be like bruised feeling and I'll be limping and it'll be hurting. So like I basically can't train like I've liked to train and I consistently. So I mean, I might ask your advice. Like, do you think just do like a week of watermelon or get off the meat? Because I have been eating red meat and eggs quite a bit. Because I need to drop inflammation. I need tissues to heal fast. So, what do I need to do? Go.
Well, I mean, yeah, any sort of fast would be good. Like, I mean, if you do have some form of blockage within the kidneys or in your adrenal, like within your lymphatic system, then maybe just a few days on watermelon could really help, or just even just do the water fast. You
Hmm.
know, but so are you getting kind of more like a shin splints type thing, or
Well, no, I thought it was plantar fasciitis, but my wife says that she thinks it's more tarsal tunnel syndrome. So, like, you have the sciatic nerve that runs down your leg, and you have these
Mhm.
two nerves that wrap around your heel, kind of on the left and the right. And it almost feels a little bit more nervy. But yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
have really tight heel cords. Like, I can't do a squat. If I try to squat down like an Asian squat, I'll fall backwards because I don't have very much ankle mobility. Like,
yeah, I'm the
and
same.
actually just my hands and my wrists, like there's just not, I don't have a lot of flexibility right now, so I need to hydrate, lower inflammation, get rid of the neural tension, and just do like you were talking about these long time detoxes. Like I need to do that to continue to detox whatever because I want my body to heal.
Yeah, I mean, I always just found that just any form of fasting was just amazing, no matter what you did. Like when I first got into fasting, I was doing liver flushes. So have you ever done any liver flushing before?
No,
Okay,
you've
so
been
liver
sending.
flushing is just incredible. So I first did that because I was the girl that I was with at that time. She was getting a bit of acne, and I knew that acne had to do with heat in the liver, and I knew that had something to do with your liver. And I'd been meaning to do liver flushes myself, and I said to her, because she then was about to start taking some medications and all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, why don't we try liver fasting first? Because all this stuff that I'm reading on it by a guy named Andreas Moritz, I was reading a lot of stuff to do with liver fasting, liver flushing at that time, and I'm like, look, this is meant to help get rid of a lot of heat from your liver, all these different things that are going on within your liver. Let's give it a try. And she agreed. She said, all right, well, let's do it. And you do them once a month. And it's basically you you can up to you on how you want to do it beforehand, but they recommend going 100% plant based for at least a few days beforehand. And on the day, depending on how you want to do it, this protocol is go and get a colonic irrigation. You don't need to do that if you were, let's say, if you were to fast for a couple of days beforehand and then take uh, some sort of not stimulants, but take some natural products that are going to help you move everything out of your bowels because you don't want anything left in your bowels when you do this because you're about to get rid of all these little green sort of liver balls out
Hmm.
of that'll come out of your liver and it'll get rid of gallstones as well.
Wow.
So that's all going to come out. So if you've got a lot of backed up stuff in your colon, it's going to get stuck in there. So you kind of got to clean your colon out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then you generally on the day you then stop eating at 10 in the morning, or if you've already fasted before that, then you don't have to worry about that process. And then at I think it was 6 o'clock, you have Epsom salts in water, and then at 8 o'clock you have Epsom salts in water as well. Yes, milk thistle is good for the liver.
Hmm.
So then you have Epsom salts again at 8 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock at night, directly before you go to bed, you take a thing of olive oil mixed with grapefruit juice, and you mix that around and you drink that. And the next morning, when you wake up, you drink some more Epsom salts at 6 and then some more at 8. And by that time, you're already pooping out all these little green ball things that are coming out
Wow.
of you.
Hmm.
And so we did that, and it didn't really, I mean, I felt better. I did feel better. She felt better as well, but we didn't notice anything within her skin. But after the second one that we did, her skin completely cleared up, like
Wow.
100%. And we did another one as well, and I haven't spoken to her for a few years now, but she was 100% cleared after that, where she had been taking trying to do all these other things to clear her acne for years, nothing ever worked, and these just 2 liver flushes totally cleared her system.
Man, that's so
So
cool.
so yeah, that was my first introduction to fasting, and the first time you've ever fast, it's horrible. So I think I felt like crap. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. You're just sitting there going like, "Oh, I'm so hungry." You're just dying, you know? That's
Yeah,
how I felt at the time anyway.
that's
But then
funny.
I look at it as it's like anything. It's like training, you know? The more you st If you just jumped out and you went for a 10-mile run when you haven't run for years, you're gonna be dead the next day.
Right,
You're gonna be
right.
dying halfway through. You might not even make it. But
Mhm.
if you build up, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and that's just the way that I looked at fasting as well, where it's just this thing where I don't know, I felt of it almost like it was a mental thing where when you first do it, it's like your body doesn't even understand that what not eating is
Mhm.
because you're constantly eating. Like I was someone that ate every 2 or 3 hours at the most,
Right.
um, and then you go to not eating at all, but then the next time you do it, um, the way that I think the way that it happens mentally is that your body says, "Hey, I'm hungry, eat something," and your mind goes, "No, remember, we're not going to do that," and your body just goes, "Okay, cool, just forget about it. I know that
Wow.
it's not going to happen now."
Yeah.
That's sort of the way that I was looking at it because the next few times that you do it and you tell yourself, "No, I'm not going to eat for the next 2 days," it's almost like it's this mental thing. Your body just says, "Okay, all good. I know I'm not going to eat for the next 2 days, so don't even bother telling him." Because they know that when you fast for a few days and your circadian rhythm of I think they call it the granulin. I think it's called granulin.
Mhm.
So when you get hungry, you get this. I don't know if it's a hormone or something of this thing called granulin, and then that basically says, okay, you're hungry, time to eat. Well, that still happens, and it happens in waves. So say in the morning the granulin will come up, and then it'll go down, and then at lunch it comes back up again, and it does this wave of coming up and down. Well, that still happens when you're fasting. So it's not like your body's not telling you to eat. It's like your mind just says you're not going to eat. So your body just says, don't even bother telling him.
That's awesome. Man, I had no idea. Like, I had no idea about the health stuff and the way that you eat and the way that you feel and stuff like that. I mean, we're an hour and 2 minutes in, and it just seems like we
Oh,
just
sorry.
got started. No, I love it. Um, I am wondering if we should transition because I do want to get to some of your observations and some of your filming and just recently I looked at the bowl that people are down in the basin, and you were recently talking about like maybe concavers even think that's what it is because of how we see, and like recently just seeing basically like the boat in the foreground as you see the whole hole of the boat going towards the horizon, it is going up. And I never really thought about like, well, what would that look like from the other side if you were on the other side of the horizon? Mind blowing stuff. So I could play that little video that I have in the queue, and then maybe you could bring something up and just show us some of your diagrams or some of your
Sure,
stuff
sure.
that you figured out. So
Yeah, yeah,
check
go for it.
check this out. Everybody's seen this
Oh, yeah.
classic video. Let me play it real quick.
We have a saying in science: extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. So I am now going to make a wild, way out, extraordinary claim. The world is round. For curvature of the Earth, horizon model of science. Watch as ships sail away.
They don't disappear all at once.
Now, first, the bottom will disappear. See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see midway up, and then the whole thing disappears. Now, ships came back. They didn't fall off a table. So people realized that the world is curved. I mean, it's a big curve, but it's curved. So, the process of testing claims, the world is flat, the world is round, is what we call science. Now, if you have a claim that can't be tested, that's what we call pseudoscience. The difference between pseudoscience and regular science is whether or not you can test it. The flat Earth, well, that didn't stand up to tests. The round Earth did. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. The world is round.
Awesome. Now, let me point something out about that video. If
Hmm.
you go, can you sort of just bring it up to the side,
Yeah, let me see.
or you can just put it back up, and then I think maybe around about 1 minute in or so, or just to maybe about 10, 15 seconds before the end of it.
Okay, yeah, let me bring it back
Point
up.
something out about that.
Okay. So here, let me share it back up. Rookie mistake. I closed it. Screen.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry, my
Boats.
fault. I should have. I didn't even really think about it.
No, you're
But
good.
I'm going to tell
Go.
people or show people how that what they're doing here is trying to mimic reality, but the way that they had to do it. Keep going further up. No, keep going way further. Keep going almost to the there. Stop. No, back. There.
Mhm.
Stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just
The
maybe bring that
round
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, can you see how that is actually sloped downwards?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're not underneath at the bottom of the ball. You're on top of the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
But see how what they've had to do to replicate the fact that we get this ramping up of our horizon. See how they've had to angle the ball upwards?
Yeah.
But that's not how we see, is it? Or like that's what we see, but that's not what we are on the ball.
Right.
That would have to that top part there, or the bit that's around about at his elbow level,
Mm-hmm.
that would actually have to you'd have to raise that up to his shoulder level
Right.
to represent now you're on top of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to put that on top of the ball and have the camera directly there, you wouldn't see that horizon out above in front of you. It would be well down. You wouldn't see that same effect.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. I never even thought about that.
Mm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you were to play that again, you'll see the way that it goes up, and you see the horizon when it's in front of the horizon rising up on the boat, and then it goes over the horizon, and now the horizon drops. So when you go back closer to the start, and we watch it go away, there. So you can see how in that picture there,
All at once.
you can see how it's now moving up on the horizon as what I've shown happens. But
Mhm.
they can only get that effect because they've dropped the image down.
Yeah.
That's like as if you're now on, a further part of the ball. You're not on top of the ball there. The top of the ball there is the horizon,
Right.
right? That's the
Yeah.
top point.
It's funny with the
See how when
model.
it hits the horizon there, then there's nothing there. But the only way they could do that, because that's the top curve of the ball. That's where you actually are. You're
Right.
at that point.
Man, manipulating it with a literal model that doesn't comport with reality.
No, but to make it comport with reality, they had to do something that you wouldn't experience on the ball. I don't believe so. Now, Jesse Path of Light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's going to try to replicate it and see if he can replicate it. Getting a really big fit ball type thing and a little tiny boat and putting on and see if he can replicate it. And I said to him, well, I think the only way you're going to be able to replicate that is if you have the camera slightly higher and pointed slightly down. If you have it dead in line so that that little boat is on top of the ball, you're not going to see the slope down.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be up here in front of you. It's going to be down here.
Right.
Yeah, just exactly as they showed. To replicate it, they had to have the boat down here, and then it went up over the curve like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had to have it so that the camera was down here, not like this is the top of the ball, and then the boat went over the curve.
Yep. Early on in my research, basically the idea is like the horizon is 3 miles, roughly like 3 miles. And so boats disappear, they say, over the horizon within about 3 miles. And I had the question, like, what if a jet was flying 10 feet off the water super fast? Like it would, if it was 3 miles, like he would feel it pitching over the curve to stay at 10 feet. And that
Yep.
doesn't happen. And then like that famous video that, Dubay showed a lot where the hot air balloon goes up and up and up, it would have to fall away like almost immediately in all directions, but it doesn't. The horizon just keeps rising up. I've got a video. I went to Hawaii. I want to show you this because it's just pretty cool. Let me see if I can show it.
Yeah. While you're looking for that, and speaking to what you were saying about the plane, then I had a whole discussion with ChatGPT where I'm like, what is the furthest, fastest, lowest flight that there's been in history?
Mm-hmm.
And I took a while to get to it, but I can't remember. It basically said that there's been a flight where it was an average of around 700 miles per hour, and the flight went for an hour. No, the distance was 750 miles,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in about an hour and 10 or hour and 20 minutes. And it said that the plane flew at tree line. So let's just say even tree line was 200 feet, big
Mhm.
trees. We'll give it really big trees.
Right.
I'm like, well, when I worked it worked out that that plane would have had to have been going over a drop of something like, I think it was about 90 feet per second. So then I said to ChatGPT, and I'm like, well, as a human, I know for a fact that if I go up over a hill and come down in a car doing only 40, let's say 30 miles an hour, I will get this sinking feeling and this butterfly feeling in my stomach. And that happens in, maybe about 1 second. And I've only dropped maybe 20 feet,
Mhm.
maybe not even 20 feet. Maybe I've only dropped 15 or 10 feet as
Yep.
that's all happened. And I'm like, so I know that if I do that in a car, I'm going to get this feeling. Do we think that someone in an aeroplane who's traveling at 600 miles an hour, having to drop 90 feet per second, wouldn't get that feeling?
Right.
And then it played with me a little bit, but then eventually it went like, actually, you know what? You're right. They would have to feel that.
Yeah. Yep.
And they would have to,
Yeah,
especially
they
when you're
would.
that close to the ground.
Yeah, 100%.
That would be insane.
It would. So can you see this?
Hmm.
So if the horizon, if you're looking straight out, is 3 miles, exactly how far do you think? Oh, I got to go over here to play it. Hold on. How many miles do you think from the left side all the way? Like, are you saying that you wouldn't see any curvature with this pan?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of distance.
That's a lot of
Now
distance.
you're higher up. You must be what, about
7th floor of a hotel not far from the ocean side. So just 7th
so
floor.
the 10th, 7th floor?
Mm-hmm. 7th
Yeah, so
floor.
you're probably about 80 feet up or so. So, you could say that technically what they would say according to the globe, that horizon would be probably about 10 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they would say. But then I would turn around and go, well, how do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you don't know that horizon could actually only be 5 miles away. It could be 30 miles away.
Right.
You don't know, because that's kind of more part of what I've discovered is the distance that the horizon can actually move from moment to moment or day to day or hour to hour. Like I've got it where I've got footage where the horizon was closer than 3 miles away from me because I have certain markers that are 3 miles away from me, and at a 20-foot height on the globe, your horizon should be 5.48 miles. That's
Mm-hmm.
pure geometry. Now, even with standard refraction, now that pushes it out to more like around 6 miles. But I've had horizons less than 3 miles, and then 3 hours later be at 15 miles.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't tell the difference just with your eyes. Both of those horizons look identical to you.
Yeah.
You can't tell. So someone walks out and looks out there, they've been told the horizon's 3 miles when they're just standing at 6 foot height. And they go, well, the horizon's 3 miles away. I'm like, well, how do you know that? And they go, well, that's what I've been told. Look, here it says, we just work it out. And it says here that the curvature from 6 feet is my horizon's 3 miles away. I'm like, yeah, but how do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
What's telling you that that's 3 miles away? That could only be a mile away. You don't know.
Right.
That could be 20 miles away. You don't know because it looks identical to you. All you see is the horizon. It doesn't look any different.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it to lots of people. I've talked to lots of people when I'm out on the jetty, and I'm like, oh, for starters, I go, oh, how does that horizon look to you? Does that look like it's above your eye level, below your eye level, or approximately at your eye level? And 100% of the time they go, oh, I don't know, I'd say that's about my eye level. I'm being like, well, yeah, of course. And so, I have these, I don't rarely do I talk to Flat Earth about people when I'm out on the jetty. Sometimes I do. There's been a few people. And most of the time it's actually been pretty good conversations
Mm-hmm.
because people will be like, well, they'll see me out there with like 8 cameras. And so clearly they're not thinking that this guy, they might think I'm a little bit nutty because I got 8 cameras and they've never walked out onto a pier before and seen someone standing there with 8 cameras. And they've got the classic question, are these all yours? I'm like, oh, no, man. See that guy over there? One of them's his and one of them's his. And I just thought I'd look after them. But I know it's just a natural question, isn't it? When someone
Yeah.
sees something like that, they're like, is this all yours? Like, yes, it's all mine.
That's awesome. Well, share screen, man. I'll see if I can pull it up for you. You can show us whatever you want that you've messed with. I mean, I've been loving what you played on Glowbusters, to both part of Glowbusters. I do need to catch the Earth Awakenings one. I think you did last night. I think it's 6 hours, but I did tune in and I heard you talking to Zanuck, and honestly, he was pretty calm, and you guys had a pretty good back and forth from what I was hearing, at least at that point in the conversation. Um, do you want to give any
Yeah.
spoilers on how the whole EA thing went, or I could just point people to it?
No, it went pretty good in general. I think I'm sharing screen now, but I
Yeah, yeah, I
don't
can
see
pull it
anything.
up. I can
Oh,
pull it
right.
up
Okay.
anytime, and I can drop it away. Like if you just want to talk, I can pop it to and fro.
Oh, good. Oh, not that one. I probably should have just got this ready beforehand. What am I doing? Okay. No, the conversation with Zanuck went pretty well. I mean, he was still being Zanuck,
Mhm.
what do you expect from him?
Yeah.
And now this is a part where we were actually on. So we can even start with this because this is a part of what really started kicking me on to what's going on.
Okay.
So we look here and we see this. We see this tower in the distance. This tower is 8 miles away. And then we have this little buoy right here, and I'll just blow it all up so you can see it a little bit easier. And we've got this little yellow buoy right here. Well, I spent 3 days looking for this buoy because I thought it was further away. I thought it was closer to this tower, so I went all the way down there, and I'm searching around with my camera. I couldn't find it, and I went to another spot. I couldn't find it. So I spent about 2 hours looking for it one day, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's not as far as what I thought. So then I went and looked in another area. I still couldn't find it. So then I went and looked in another area, and then I'm like, oh, there it is, right there. And there's a whole line of them all the way along. So I just then worked out how far I was from Grange Jetty at that point. That buoy's dead straight out in front of me. So this buoy here is between 3.5, I would say, to 3.7 miles away.
Mhm.
Now, this little marker here, I know where that is because that's out the front of a spot called Glenelg Jetty or Glenelg Pier for you guys. So I know this one here is 5.5 miles away. And this pier here, where there's a jetty underneath this is 8 miles away. And these houses back here, or this area back here, is 9.4 miles away. And this is about 9.2 miles away, something like that. So when we see this on one day, now this happens occasionally. This isn't something that happens very often. This is pretty rare. Now we're missing 20 feet or maybe even 20 feet plus because this is slightly above, this is about 27 feet above sea level. I've been out here and I've measured it all from the water to the top of the pier and then from the pier to where the top of this is.
Mhm.
So we're talking about 27 feet to this. All right. So we've got about 20 feet missing at only 8 miles away. Now, according to the globe, this should only be about 3 to 4 feet hidden. So you shouldn't, you should see the entire pier there. That
Mhm.
shouldn't be hidden. So I started playing around with the Globers on Twitter going, there's a jetty underneath here. Where's the jetty? And then some of them would take the bait. Some of them wouldn't take the bait. So then what I did is I started there's a classic picture of a sailing ship and the sailing ship is half underneath. Now, many of us know Brenda Debates. She had it as her profile picture at one stage, this particular ship. And so I started using the ship. I've got it in another presentation, but I don't have it here. So I'm not going to go looking for it. But so I started then posting that ship first and saying, well, what's going on here? Why can't we see the bottom of the ship behind the horizon or beyond the horizon? And obviously they would use language like, it's over the curve of the earth, you stupid flurf, blah, blah. We've all heard this stuff before, right? So then I'm like, okay, cool. That's the curve of the earth, according to you. Why can't we see this jetty? We see a horizon. It's a pretty clear horizon, apart from the fact that it's a hazy day.
Mhm.
It's a pretty clear horizon. It's distinct. Why can't we see this jetty below here? And I would post this and then a Google Earth picture of the jetty, of the actual thing. And then some would take the bait, some wouldn't take the bait, but many would say, well, it's over the curve of the earth, you idiot. So then I would go, what about now? We'll just move this out of the way. I go, what about now? Where'd the curve go? Because now we're seeing behind here.
Yeah.
We're seeing the shoreline all the way down there.
Yeah.
All the way along, we're seeing the shoreline. And this is not unusual for me to see this. Now, I've actually got probably about, now I probably have about 350 days of photos like this,
Mm-hmm.
but I only have about 105 days put into a Keynote where I've lined them all up because it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work putting all this stuff. I'll get home. It takes me 2 hours to get everything loaded in, organized into folders, and it takes a while to get all this done. So, and then I was working on a different part of my photographs, putting something else in, which I can show you. And with that, you see the horizon just jumping up and down, moving like crazy. But so here, and then I would say, well, where's the curve now? And then out come all the ridiculous excuses like, oh, and then that's when they start going, oh, it's refraction. Like, well, yeah, duh. Of course it's refraction because that's what every horizon is. Every horizon is refraction. Right? Now, if I put this back here and we skip between these two, this is the discussion that I was having with Zanuck. So we see what's going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see this slight raising, because this is about to go into an inferior mirage.
Mm-hmm.
When an inferior mirage is building, it's bringing that horizon closer to you. As the inferior mirage is building up, the actual horizon, it's always apparent because the horizon, it's a part of it. It's already what's the word for it? It's basically already in the description because the horizon is the apparent position of where the sky meets the ground. That's the general description of it. So it being apparent is already in the description. So this thing that we call the horizon, we see it in different positions. It moves closer to us and it moves further away. So on this day it's close, and on this day it's far. And this day here, so this is 9 miles away. And I call this still the horizon because even where the water meets the land can still be called the horizon as far as the water is concerned. I used to actually put this as a part of my first presentations that I was doing just over a year ago now, where that's the classic, the classic one where the flag disappeared in the National Geographic video.
Yeah, I think so.
I could find it quickly, but so how there was Mark Sargent was there as well, and they did the whole thing with National Geographic, and then they're like, see how now as the flag hits the horizon,
the flag, the red and the white stripes. Then it had the repeating birds and the fakery. Is that the same one where they hid the helicopter?
No, people put all those ones together though.
Okay. Yeah.
But they talked about and as the boat hit the horizon, well, it didn't hit the horizon because you could actually see the water higher up in the background.
Yeah, way back there. The horizon was way behind it.
Exactly. And that water met the land, right?
Yeah,
so even though this isn't technically what you would call the horizon, it actually is technically what would be referred to as a horizon. Now, on this day, the horizon was actually 15 miles away, and I could dig that up if you want to. That's not a problem. We can look at that. But so this is where I was going with Zanuck, because we were doing this with his oil rig observations, and he was trying to say, what's going on? Why is the oil rig disappearing? Which is this one right here. Let me go here. Here. Oh, that's too big. Let me shrink that. So we've got this, and we have the oil rig dropping here, and this one up, and see this one at the back is now higher, and this one's lower. So this closer one has appeared like it's dropped, and the one at the back has appeared like it's raised. And this is this one here. So this front one here is this front one here. This back one here is this back one here. And this is appearing like it's dropped. Now, people never picked that this is actually an inferior mirage right here. So that automatically that drops the image. And I don't know, no one ever picked that before. And this is an entire saga that I've had with people who are of the globular believing mind, that they have no idea how to pick inferior mirages. And I get shown this stuff all the time, and I'm like, oh, that's in an inferior mirage. And they're like, why are you obsessed with inferior mirages? And I'm like, I'm not. You just keep showing me stuff that's inferior mirages. What do you want me to do? Not say that it's just agree with you? Like, you keep showing me inferior mirages. Stop showing me inferior mirages and I won't say it. But anyway, so an inferior mirage would drop the image at the background, right? So as what I've described is the horizon is the dividing line of perspective. We have perspective going down this direction and we have perspective coming up this direction. But so from here, we can imagine that this front one is representative of the buoy I just showed you, and the back one is representative of the tower. Now, I've got other GIFs and stuff for it here, but if we just go back here, I can demonstrate it to you a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'll just move these out of the way for the moment so we can see it. Oh, no, that's probably better for me to have that on there. So that way I can sort of describe something else to you as well. Right. So we see the buoy here. We see the buoy here. It's at the 3.5 mile mark, which now becomes our horizon. Now, as the horizon moves further away, what we're going to see is this buoy appear to drop and this appear to raise. Neither of them are really dropping or raising, although there is a sense of displacement up and down. There actually is, but that's not really what's going on in a sense. What we're getting is the fact that because this is a basic perspective grid, right? We could draw this perspective grid over the entire scene here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we have to draw it going into a point perspective. That some people were trying to point that out, but that's just a bit fallacious. Now, as we do this, see how the buoy at this point here, it's up here. It appears to be in between here and the jetty. And now when we do this, that should have been up here. So that was up here before. But now all of a sudden it's all the way down here. Now the reason that that's happening is because the horizon is the furthest visual point that you can see the surface of the water or the land.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot see any more surface past the water or past the horizon. Okay, so this now becomes the highest point of all your visual space when it comes to the horizon. So everything in front of the horizon will appear lower, just like we look at this little white part of the water here. This appears to be lower than this, which appears to be lower than this, which
Mm-hmm.
appears to be slightly lower than the buoy. None of these things are really actually lower than any of the others, apart from, okay, maybe there's a little bit of a wave, so technically it's kind of, but this is all basically the same level. This one isn't technically higher than this. It's pretty much the same level.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the way perspective works. Everything that comes closer to you is going to appear to be lower. As it goes towards the horizon, it's going to appear to rise up within your vision. So now the buoy being on the horizon appears to be in the highest visual point. But when we move the horizon, we're at this point here, and when we move it, that's this point here still.
Mm-hmm.
It's still on the same point as far as distance is concerned, but now we see further, a perspective grid will always climb up or appear to rise up. So now this point here is the 3.6 mile mark. It's not on the horizon anymore. So the entire scenery in the distance needs to change and everything needs to appear to now drop, because now this is the highest point we see, because the horizon is the highest visual point that you can see. So this has nothing to do with the buoy dropping and lowering.
Mm-hmm.
It's all to do with the fact that the way we see in perspective and the way that the perspective and the horizon work together to give us the world we see.
Yeah, those atmospheric conditions and the lensing and refraction, we don't have to be afraid of it.
No.
There's like on the day where it's choppy and it's all blocking, the details in those waves look to be magnified as well. As it goes up, it's like you can see it all. It's bigger. It's in your face.
Exactly. Now, I can show you days where we do still have it choppy, but you can see all the way down to the tower, because partly what we're seeing here is you've got to remember that my camera's in 3,000 millimeter zoom right now. So at 3,000 millimeter zoom, this one here is also at 3,000 millimeter zoom.
Wow.
What we're actually looking at when we were looking at this day,
Mm-hmm.
and I move this, right? So we're looking at all the water that's just by or in front of the buoy. And when we go to this day, all that same water is here.
Yeah.
All this water here is water we didn't see before.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at something like this, we are also actually looking at the water that's closer to us. And now because that's ramped up and it's right up there in front of us, it becomes more clear. It becomes clearer.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my bad English. More better.
No,
It's more
you're
better.
good. You're good.
It's more better. So now it's clearer because it actually is closer. So that is a part of it. But plus we do get a form of magnification as that light really bends up. It does cause a form of magnification. Now, Travis from The Plain Truth, and I think I do have some as well, but generally we don't see as much horizontal magnification. We generally see more vertical magnification.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some where you get these things become extremely compressed, and then we do see some horizontal compression. So that we could say that then when we don't see it compressed, we're having some horizontal magnification, because all we're doing here is looking through the atmosphere in inverted commas. Right? So everything is, we're basically looking through some form of lens. So just maybe because even that this regularly looks the same doesn't mean that it's not being magnified. Now, if we were to take this to, where was it? Say an observation like this, which is the same day. These are the same 2 days. Now, this is looking at an area called Hallett Cove. And when we look here, we see right there, there's a buoy right there. And we see this boat on the horizon. We see these little chimneys here. And then we see the same chimneys there.
Mm-hmm.
And we see this boat. We see the buoy right there. And then we see this boat way back here on the horizon now. And it's not even on the horizon because you can actually see the water level just above it. So it hasn't even hit the horizon yet. But we could say that these two boats are probably a similar size. I would be assuming that they are possibly a similar size anyway.
Right.
But this one is much further away. This one's only 3.6 miles away. This one's probably 9, 10, or 11 miles away, because this area back here is 12.6 miles away. And on this day, we can see all the way down to the shore here.
Wow.
So, and then this is from a video. So as I was videoing, this boat here is the same boat. Maybe it's just like 5 minutes later or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's from a video, and then I've just done different screenshots of it just to show the representation here. Now, what happened? Did all of a sudden the curve disappear? Like, this has got nothing to do with the curve disappearing. This is just the fact that the horizon is purely an effect of refraction. That's why we have a horizon.
Right.
Well, what I put forward is the reason that we have a horizon is because of our height above the surface. So the moment you climb up above the surface, that's what gives you a horizon in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And then refraction is what tells you the distance to that horizon. So if we go into this, so I'll start here. And we have our visual ramp here. Now, I got this picture here from this guy, Vortex Pup. And this was a conversation that they had called The Great Switcheroo. And there's Zach, and I forget what these guys' names are, so I apologize to those guys. This guy here, it's his channel. He's an engineer, and this is all engineering software that he has. You can just put it straight in, and it gives you all this. It gives you all this straight away. All right. So if I go into this, and we go, well, what is this? Why is it doing this? Why does that arrow appear to be below that arrow, which appears to be below that one, and so forth, right? All those ones underneath that top one, they appear to be underneath. But if this is a dead flat road, let's just assume for a moment that it is a flat road, because we know that this happens anyway. Why is this happening? Why do we get this visual ramp? Why do we have this looking that everything close to us looks low and everything further away looks higher up? So what is creating this visual ramp? So this is where I go into, well, imagine that you are a person, or imagine that it's a completely flat ocean day, and it's so flat that it's impossible because there's not even a swell in the water. There's like nothing. It's the flattest of flat. It's flatter than the glass screen of your computer, right?
Mhm.
It's insane. It's so flat. It's amazing. We dig a hole, we stick a helicopter in there, and we put a little person in there, and that person, their eye level is perfectly in line with the surface that they cannot see any surface. All they see is this line in front of them. They see no surface at all. Now, how are we going to get them to be able to have this visual ramp in the first place? What do we need to do to create that visual ramp? So if we have all these boats there and we want to get this visual ramp, right, so that we see that in this fashion of everything moving, appearing to be up, what do we need to do? Well, the only way that we're going to get that is to raise our height, because that's what's going to create this perspective. So what I've put forward for basically how it would work on a flat Earth is that the only reason that we have a horizon in the first place is because of our height above the surface. That's what creates the horizon. That's why the horizon is there. That's why we have a visual ramp. That's how we see in perspective, right? Because if I take this back, you have no idea which one of those boats is in front of the other one, right? Because maybe that one that's really small that you would think is in the background, maybe it's just a smaller boat that's closer to you. Now,
Mhm.
in reality, if you were to draw this line, if we put ourselves down there, anything that's way further away because we've created a horizon would actually be starting to fall behind that horizon because, as I've described, the horizon is the dividing line of perspective. You can't see past the horizon. So this isn't technically 100% accurate, but it's just a representation. So when we move up, we now see like, oh, well, one of the bigger boats is actually further behind. It must just be massive, right? So you wouldn't know that because now that we can see the perspective, we can actually see which one is in front of the other one. And we can do that because of all the lines. We know that this line, the lowest line, is closer to us. And as the lines go higher and higher, that's everything getting further away. So it's your height above the surface that creates the horizon. That's why there is a horizon. Now, what creates the distance to the horizon and what stops us from being able to see the horizon in its perfect true position at all times is refraction.
Mhm.
Refraction will bring the horizon closer to you, and refraction will move the horizon further away from you. It just depends on the refractive conditions of the day. So, and this perspective is happening in the clouds. So we see this visual ramp going up, and the clouds have a visual ramp going down. So the clouds have a visual ramp going down. So we have another cloud layer here, and there's another layer there that appears to be going down as well. We just can't see it because all the other clouds are in the way.
Mhm.
As you rise up, when you get to the same layer as the clouds, now you don't see any more clouds here, but you have another ramping down because this becomes your new perspective of everything but above you.
Yeah.
And now when you go up higher, all of a sudden, all these clouds come into view, and this is just like the ground now. We have this layer here, and we have this layer here. So this becomes our new perspective. Shout out to new perspective.
I know, right? And shout out to Joe Hamby too, because he's done some modeling with clouds and stuff.
Yeah, cool.
And
Awesome.
this is awesome. Yeah, I hopped in a Discord, and I think it must have been the aftermath of your presentation because we were still talking about all this stuff. And one misconception or talking point or topic was people were kind of arguing about why does this happen? Like why does the floor raise up and the clouds or sky ramp down? And then one gentleman in the chat was saying, well, if you turned your camera, what if you turned your camera upside down, just inverted your camera? Why doesn't it invert what you see? And I was explaining it to them like, you're near the ground. And if you flip your camera, it doesn't matter. You're still positionally near the ground, which is the bottom layer. You would have to go way up to change perspective because just inverting a camera doesn't change the power of perspective. Like what's out
Yeah.
in front of you is hitting you. Doesn't matter if you're upside down or not. And I think that that made sense because we do experience the world and look at the ocean from usually the sea level or even, the seventh story of a building, but that's not very high up compared to like where the cloud layer is. And like when you're in a plane, I think I saw another video of yours where when you go just like you just showed the animation or the little model, but like when you literally break above, like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole another flat layer right there. And if you went higher, perspective is going to change again. Things will ramp up or converge. And
Yeah.
the last thing I'll say is I told them, if you're looking at railroad tracks and they're appearing to converge in the distance because you're standing in the center of the tracks, what if you had a camera and you laid it on its side and laid it on the right track? So the bottom of the camera is flat against the right track, where the left side of the camera is on the ground. You would see that right track ramp up. And it doesn't matter if you flip it upside down or not, you're still going to see the angle of perspective the same. And I think it clicked for him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're 100% right. So when we look in that top left-hand image, that's showing you because it's unfortunately, I wish that this actual video, the camera they showed the entire thing of it dropping under the clouds, but they didn't show that. It stopped right here. But you can still see that effect that I was showing on how as you go closer and closer, you now start to get just one horizon line. So we can see perspective there and we're starting to lose it and we get almost right to the clouds and we just have one line going across. So then in the left hand, on the one on the right hand top, we can see a little bit more perspective going out, but we also see that top layer of clouds coming down there and we've got basically a tunnel all the way through. And then we've got in the bottom left, we've got a breaking out of the clouds and we see more perspective coming out. And again, we've got that tunneling happening. They're two very close layers of clouds. Now, the one in the bottom center, we're clearly higher above the clouds and we could literally just say, okay, you're 1,000 feet above the surface of the ground and you could replace those clouds with the ground and it would look the same. And then you would have the ground and clouds above. And that would be no different, exactly how I was describing and showed in my animation. And then obviously in the right-hand side, bottom, you're even way higher above the clouds. And again, that could just be, you could just imagine this as all little hills and, little mountains or something on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You could just replace that with the ground and it would look identical. If I had better photoshopping skills, I could probably just do that. And then you would just think that it's flying over the ground.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be any different. Just replace the clouds with the ground. And that's just how our eyes work. That's how we see the world. There's not a thing in this world that we don't look at, that we don't see through the eyes of perspective. So why did we ever think that perspective stops at the horizon?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would it stop at the horizon? I mean, it's how we see everything else in the world. There's not a thing that we don't see that way. And like I put this challenge, or not challenge, but I just say like every single person here right now can have a whole bunch of things on a table in front of them and look at the table and you'll see, let me just skip quickly through here. So let's just say you've got a table. This is my computer table.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can just see where my keyboard looks to be lower than what my mouse trackpad is. And then that looks lower than the next bits further up. And we see that same thing within perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn and you look to your left. And now everything looking to your left looks like it's going up the same way it does in perspective.
Right.
If you were to look on the ground there, like actually on the ground at that cupboard that I've got next to me, the little leg on the very left-hand side actually looks a little bit lower than the leg on the very far right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now you have perspective that's on the ground. You have perspective of everything that you see on the table, and we turn the other direction. There's 10 of my cameras.
Yeah, there they are.
Yeah, there's 10 of them. So then we look that direction, plus my little GoPro. And now we have perspective going all the way to the left because this happens 360 degrees around you. It's not like it only happens right out in front of you. It's happening in every single direction, everywhere you look.
Yeah.
It's just that for you only ever see what you're looking at in front of you.
Right.
You never see anything looking at it from the side. The only way you see something from the side is if you go side onto it and now you look, but now once again, you're looking at what's right in front of you.
Hmm.
You're not actually looking the side anymore. You just determine that, well, this is the thing that I'm looking at in front. And now if I walk all the way over here, now I'm looking at it from the side. But no, now you're actually still looking front on. You never don't look front on. That's impossible.
Absolutely. I'm gonna pull up. You can keep your screen share right where it's at. I'm just gonna drop it, and I'm gonna bring mine up.
Yeah, no.
Because I was flying. I think I was flying to. Um, I think my first Flattoberfest. So we were flying, and it was so cool because we were between cloud layers, and I think I have a video. Maybe I'm looking around. And it's just crazy that we're at like 30, however many thousand feet up, and there's that whole lower cloud layer. And I started taking pictures, just looking at different angles.
Mhm.
And I was just looking at the shadows, I don't know. It's just such a funny place to be in between these layers above the earth
Yeah,
on
it's
the way
pretty
to
cool.
on the way to Flattoberfest. Because you've got like this lower one, like that's not even anywhere near the ground, and you've got this
Are
one
you
that's
sharing it at the moment? Because I can't see it. Do
oh
I need to?
shoot. Yeah, let me see why it's not showing.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Um, I'm sharing
Yeah.
it to YouTube.
Maybe. Do I need to close?
Let me see. Hide on stream.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't
'Cause
know. Let me ask the chat if they could see any of that.
maybe I just couldn't see it because I wasn't actually on the stream. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah, now I can see it. Everyone else can
Okay.
probably see it. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
My
No,
fault.
you're good. Oh yeah, because you were sharing your screen.
Yeah.
I'll go back.
No, you're right.
Um,
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good photo. That's some good photos. Oh, that's
so
awesome.
yeah, it's like a whole world. Like I was in
Oh, yeah.
between all
No,
these
that's good.
layers.
That's awesome.
And the perspective was neat, and the shadows. And I think this is when I met. I think Whitsitt and Weiss for the first time, and Jaron back in the day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, that's perfect, man. They're like perfect photos
yeah, some good
of
stuff.
exactly what we're saying. Like, I mean, you've got that entire bottom cloud layer. That could just be the ground.
Mhm. Cool, I'll bring
And you
yours
got
back
the
up.
sun. Yeah, that's right. And then you got the sun there,
Yeah, it was really fun, really neat to see.
yeah. Well, it's like with this one here.
Mhm.
Actually, I'll escape out of there and just blow it up this way, so I can use my mouse. You guys can all see the mouse, can't
Yeah, I
you?
can see the mouse.
Yeah. So here now we have this perfect lining of perspective because we have all these lines going down this direction, and this is showing us perspective going this way,
Mhm.
converging down this way. But then we have this group of clouds where we have lines going this direction, and that's now showing us perspective going that way, and how it's all now dropping down that way. If we had lines going this way, it would also then be showing us it going down that way because it happens 360 degrees around you. So I actually
Wow.
quite like this one because it had those different cross layers of clouds the way that they were going. So this kind of like shows you perfectly how it all drops down at every different direction. And then this was, no, I've got to get out of there. Okay, here. So then here with this was just me I set this little bit up, and pretty much we're just showing how as you lower yourself down, you lose perspective. And when you get all the way to the very base, you don't see anything in perspective anymore. And now as you go up, now we start to see that which ones are in front, which ones are behind, what's taller, what's shorter. So we don't even see these ones at the back here. When we drop down, they're now no longer visible. We can still just see this one. And now as we go up, we see this one back here. We see how this is now the one that's in front. This is back further.
Wow.
Now we go, oh, that one's further than that one. That one's further again. And these ones here are further again. So when we go through there, you see how perspective works. And then we can just reverse it and upside down it. And this is like as if we're moving up towards the clouds. As you
Right.
move up towards the clouds, you're going to have perspective going down in the cloud layer. And as you move up, you're going to lose that. And then we would break out of the cloud layer or go into the cloud layer and then break out of it and create that new perspective of the ground.
Man,
So yeah,
that's so
that's just
awesome. You know, when I was trying to look at the world and figure things out, I really like the really blue, fluffy cloud days where I could go out front and see those clouds smashing into the horizon. But I knew if I drove the 16 or 20 miles or whatever it was where they appeared to converge, the clouds would be exactly the same height as they were above me at my home. So then I knew it was just optical. It was an optical phenomenon. And I've met so many people on this journey. There's a guy we call Mr. F-15. He was a weapon system operator. Like he rode in the back and basically had like a PhD in radar, technology. The guy in the front was like to fly, and he did all the radar needs. And he just said the sky and the ground are coplanar, like they just run parallel to each other, but they just
Mhm.
appear to converge when you're on the ground because of perspective and how we see the world. And like one of his flat Earth proofs was his job was to, when they were flying like at 30,000 feet or wherever they were, was to use his like moving map or his system and tag or basically put like markers on thunderheads that were coming up into their horizontal, because they're going straight at a high rate of speed. And if thunderclouds and stuff were coming up, he could have the guy that's flying avoid them because of the ice and the rain and the storm and the wind and all that. And he could do so 20, 40, 60, 80, all the way out to 120 nautical miles, maybe even further. He's like, I'm not going to tell you actually how far I could tag them, but they were at his horizontal. And if we really lived on a ball and the weather kind of contoured to the ball, equally,
120 miles away.
120 nautical
Just
miles
be
away would
below.
be below their horizontal. It wouldn't be a problem. But
No.
that was one of the deals. And just talking to him about radar and like combat, he basically says like air-to-air combat, when you're fighting, if you see somebody and they're below your horizontal or your horizon line, they're below you in reality. And if they're above you, above the horizon, that they're above you. And that's important because when you're going to fire a missile, you want to be above your enemy because it's easier, it takes less energy, it's quicker to shoot downhill basically when you're flying. And he said what never happened, never did anybody pop up from like below their radar, because if they're scanning, because the guy in the back would generally take like the horizon and below and scan, and the guy in the front would take the horizon and above, and that's how they would scan and fight and fly. If we lived on a ball Earth, out where the like when it curved away and down, the radar would be obstructed, and essentially jets could fly up under the radar and just pop up on them. And that never happened. So there's a couple fun stories for you.
Mm. Yeah, it's great when people like that come out and start talking. Is that the guy that who was it? Bob? First did
Yes.
an
Well,
interview
no.
with?
So Bob actually interviewed Cujo, and it was Bob and Taboo Conspiracy. So Ben,
Taboo Conspiracy. Yeah,
those
yeah.
two guys talked to Cujo, and this guy reached out to me on Witsit's Telegram to say, "Hey, can you get me in touch with Cujo?" And I like emailed everybody. I finally got these two guys together. The videos on Taboo Conspiracy's channel. We actually, right before I raced one of my Bostons, I did like a 2-hour Zoom call with Ben, Cujo, Mr. F-15, and myself, and I just got to hear these two legends talking about like how they woke up to the stationary planar nature, of our reality. And they were talking about some technical specs and details and stuff about their flying and what they saw. And like, honestly, Mr. F-15 says he wish he could go back and like test it more because he was asleep. He just flew his plane
Yeah,
like it was on
yeah,
a
yeah.
globe, never thought about it, whatever. But yeah, that's a good video to watch. I'll have to post that one.
Yeah, maybe link that one.
Yeah.
So I messed around with Zanuck a little bit.
Yeah.
And then so here, because this is the way that that we need to describe it. We don't say that these things are going bottom up disappearance over a curve. What we need to do is say that as something moves away from the horizon, we see it appear to disappear, and it will start to disappear from the bottom all the way up, because this happens 100% of the time. It will happen. It's never not going to happen. Well, I shouldn't actually say that. that's actually not a true statement. The one that's in the bottom middle, this one here down the bottom here, all of these are from 20 feet for me. These are ones here are obviously all mine. This one here is from Wolfie 2020, and this one here is from Matthias KP. Both of these two are Globers. Now, this one here is from a 2-foot observer height, and this boat was 22 miles when it disappeared. All of these are from 20 feet, and every single one of these boats disappeared probably closer around 15 to 17 miles. But this one here was from a 2-foot observer height, and it never actually disappeared. We see that as it's moving, it's just shrinking.
Yeah.
You can still actually see the whole thing. Now, if I can... you bugger. Can I move it? No. Okay, there you go. I can pause it. Nice. So you can still see right here, we can see the corner right here. We can still see a little corner right here. Right? So this thing here hasn't actually disappeared. It is just shrinking and getting smaller.
Yeah.
Right? So you can still quite clearly see the corners here. So all it did was just keep moving away, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So on the days when you see really far, and this was from 2 foot compared to 20 feet, this is 22 miles compared to, 15 to 17 miles, which is a huge difference. This is a vehicles carrier. This is a vehicles carrier. So they're basically, the same. They're the same type of boat, and more than likely, very, very close to the same size. Yet this one disappeared at 22 miles. This one disappeared at about 17 miles, and 18 feet difference in height. But yeah, so we need to describe this as when something moves away from us, or when something moves away from the horizon, it will disappear from the bottom up. And as it moves towards the horizon, it will appear from the top down. Now, I use that wording because now that wording has nothing to do whether it's in front of the horizon or whether it's behind the horizon. So again, and this is where I got Zanuck to agree to this, because I wanted him to agree to it first. Do you agree with this statement? As something moves away from the horizon, we see it appear to disappear from the bottom up. He said yes. I'm like, cool. And then so as something moves towards the horizon, we see it appear from the top first, and then we see it all the way down to the bottom as it gets closer to us. So as it moves towards the horizon, it now appears to come up over the horizon. So that's how we see. Now, this works whether or not you bring the horizon, whether the things are going towards the horizon or whether you bring the horizon closer to them. So in this observation here, both of these boats are not moving. They are 100% stationary. Now, on the left-hand side, I'm taking my position from being very low to moving higher. And on the right-hand side, I'm moving from a higher position down to a lower position. And what that's going to do is on the left-hand side, it's going to make my horizon move further away, which means it's going to get closer to the boat. And on the opposite side, it's going to bring the horizon closer to me, which is then going to bring the horizon closer to the boat. So either time, what we're doing is just bringing the horizon closer to each boat. See how as they get closer to the horizon, they appear to rise up, and they will both do that. We get the same effect on either side of the horizon. So this happens by just changing. So by changing heights, we can produce the same results for what happens when ships or boats move towards the horizon. This happens to the ships or boats on either side of the horizon moving towards the horizon, or the horizon moving towards them. The effect is exactly the same thing on either side of the horizon. As any object moves closer to the horizon, no matter which side it's on, it will appear to rise up onto the horizon. Now, we know that on our side of the horizon, that the effect that we're witnessing is perspective. And this is as a part of the presentation. I say, well, I'm going to prove to you that it's just perspective on both sides. And then we look at this one, and now all I'm doing is purely going from high to low, showing you what happens from high to low. And what we do is we get an exact opposite reaction. We get this little teeter-totter thing happening. All right. And now if we go through and we just remove the boats and all we have are just the squares and the horizon and a red line, and we do this, you would never say which one's in front or which one's behind.
Mm-hmm.
You're just looking at the same thing. You're just looking at two squares teeter-tottering over a line or under a line. So it's just the same effect. There's no difference between the two. And this is where we go into these animations. So what we've got here is a ship that is going to move away from us. And way over here, we've got a ship over here that's going to move towards us. But the one thing that they have in common is that we can see, or two things, we can see the very top part here, and we can just see the very top part here poking up over the horizon. Now, the one thing that they have in common apart from that is that they're both now going to move towards the horizon. Just the one that's on the opposite side of the horizon is now going to move towards us. That means that it's coming towards the horizon, and the other one's moving away. But they are both moving towards the horizon. And as they move towards the horizon, we will see them both rise up until they get to the horizon. Now, when they move away from the horizon, we will see both of them appear to drop down. And that's why it's important to change the wording of what happens, what's going on with the phenomenon, because the phenomenon is purely as anything moves away from the horizon, it will appear to drop. And as it moves towards the horizon, it will appear to rise. And then we go into this one where I show how this would look if we were, you guys call these piers. So we got two piers here. We call them jetties here. And we can see this tower here is this tower here. So this boat here is this boat here. This is what, well, let's go, this one here.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this is the horizon. So they have this circular vision, and the horizon is the furthest point that they can see the surface. So we're representing the horizon being here and also the horizon being here. All right? So technically, they're not seeing each other. They're seeing this. She is looking over here. She can see this. And that's his boat right here. And he sees this, but he also sees this. That's what he can see. He can't see the bottom of her boat, and she can't see the bottom of his boat because all they can see is the top. But now, as the boats move towards the horizon, these two people will start to see them come up. But they are also watching their own boat go up. So he's watching the boat come up, and she's watching her boat appear to go up. It's all the same thing. There's no difference between this view. I just hopefully everyone's getting it, because I know maybe 4 ships is confusing people. You just have to realize that this ship for her is this ship for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So these two ships are the same thing, but what we're doing is she's seeing it rise and he's seeing it rise until they get to the horizon, and then now they will both see them dropping.
Right.
Now, when I represent it like this, see how this is the back of the boat? Well, he's going to watch the back of his boat, and she's going to watch the back of her boat. So they're both going to see this.
Mm-hmm.
And as we had before, there's the little sail, and that represents the boat that's way over here. So what they're actually both seeing is this as the boat moves away. So this is what they're both witnessing. They're witnessing one come up over the horizon, and they're watching their own boat move away. So he's watching his boat move away, and he's watching one boat come up over the horizon, which is exactly this. As the boat moves towards the horizon, it rises until it gets all the way on top of the horizon, and the horizon is the furthest visual point. You can see the surface and also the highest visual point of the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they move away, they both now see the boat come towards them, and they see their other boat going away from them and dropping.
Yeah.
But they are the same thing.
I'll tell you, this really opened my mind up to new things. Like, can you pull up an image of a boat that the hull is closer to the person and the horizon is higher? Pick one where it's like a nice clear boat and it's in the foreground to the person, because what I'm wanting to do is paint the picture of what I see now. Because like, if the horizon is behind the boat and if the hull of the boat is pretty low in the water because it's closer to me. I imagine, what if somebody was on the other side? This is how much would be missing from that person. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because I've
Yep.
seen it,
What you're saying.
and I can't unsee it now. Because like, I think the question for people was like, like, this is why we're even doing the stream. How does that happen? Where is it going? Why does it disappear bottom up? But yeah, when you find when I've seen it,
Oops.
I mean, really, this just goes for anybody ever looking at boats on water.
Okay, so we have all these boats here, right?
Mhm.
So we see them down. If someone is on the opposite side of that horizon,
Mhm.
in the same position that you are, they wouldn't see that because that
They
boat
wouldn't
is
see it.
well below the horizon.
They would
Now,
see only the top of the sail, like what a person on this side sees, where the horizon is. All that boat would be cut off from the
mhm,
horizon down from
yep,
the opposite side,
yes. Now,
and that's wild.
what I did with this one is I just kind of added some other boats in there.
Mhm.
Everything just still looks normal there, right? But
Mhm.
this boat here is is actually just this boat here, which I cut out and turned into a little PNG. And so is this little one all the way over here, right? So if we just bring that even a little bit closer,
Right.
make it a little bit larger, because as it
Mhm.
gets closer to you, it's going to be larger, right? And so also as it gets closer to you, it's now going to um, be less of it, or sorry, more of it here,
Mhm.
right? So see how this one here cuts down at this point? We see the horizon cutting straight across there.
Right.
Yeah, so we see the horizon cutting across there. And
Mhm.
then when we bring it closer to us, now the horizon would be cutting up higher.
Right, right.
So
And
now that it's
if you're
further
on the
away from the
opposite
horizon.
side, it's so funny because I don't think it would be an exact cut because atmospheric conditions are it's gonna cheat it up or cheat it down a little bit because you don't know where that slice is gonna be. But
Mhm.
those sails like would be appearing to them, and then they go, wow, why can't I see the rest of the boat? And people, globe earthers are gonna be like, oh, the curvature of the earth, but no, that's not even what's happening at all.
No. Yeah, well, why is the rest of that boat appearing to be below your horizon? It
Yeah,
all has to do with your
that's a
height
good
above the
question.
surface and how we see and how perspective works. So now we see that. And if we were to bring it, you know, even closer, and now it's like super close to you,
Mhm.
it's going to be more like that, and now it's even, oh, sorry. Yeah, it's going to be that way around. I'm losing it. It's going to be sort of more like that, where now it's even, up here
Mhm.
further. So it's going to get to a certain point where, depending on where you are, so let's say I'm at 20 feet, if this gets really close to me and that's the 20-foot mark, well, that's what I'd be looking through. If I was at, say, 40 feet and that's the 40-foot mark, well, that's what we would be looking at. That's where, if it got close to you and that was 40 foot and I was 40 foot up, well, that's where you would be looking, because it wouldn't be now rising above there, because beforehand, when it was further away or whatever, it would look like really tiny. But now if you're at 40 feet and this sail's 40 feet, you'd be looking straight across and that would be at the horizon. But if this boat was, say, 60 feet, well, then now this part's at 60 foot, you're at 40 foot. So that's what you'd be looking through if it was close to you. Did I confuse anyone?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm loving this stuff, man. I'm so glad you came on my channel to do this and show it. I'm glad how proactive you've been to jumping on other channels. Cause I mean, this is not, and I don't think anybody, well, there are a few that have broken this down, but succinctly, you're just tearing it apart. The horizon. What is it? Where is it? Why is this happening? And it's amazing.
Yeah, well, it was just it was through that very first thing that I showed you where we had the boats. We'll just get quickly over this first. So we see here, all we do is we just add some water over it, and that's what you would see.
Mhm.
Like if we were looking from the other horizon, then if we just said that all conditions were equal, and conditions aren't necessarily always equal looking from side to side, but all conditions were equal when that boat's that distance away from the horizon and you're the same distance, but on the opposite side of the horizon, that's how you would see it. You would see something along these lines, but it would just be smaller because it's further away. But now, and this is where Travis from the Plain Truth, right here. So So right here, he did this. This is what Travis was looking at on one shore,
Mhm.
and his friend was looking at it from the opposite shore. This is the same boat.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so his friend's looking at it from, so Travis is over on this shore, and Travis's friend is over on this shore over here. So his friend over on this shore is looking at this, and Travis is looking at this. Now, because it's in front of the horizon, it's not going to be inside an inferior mirage, because an inferior mirage can only start at the horizon, because the inferior mirage will create the horizon that you see. So for Travis, this was in an inferior mirage. So he's not going to see the hull of the boat, because we can see the distance that the boat is away from the horizon. We see this nice distance here, right? So he's not going to see the hull, because it's being swallowed up in this inferior mirage, making it appear like it's gone down. But really, if this was perfectly clear, they may see the same thing, but not always, right? Because
Mhm.
if they're not obviously at the exact same height, or maybe they both have a horizon that is, I don't know what the distance is here, but I think it's like about 7 or 8 miles. So if they both had a horizon that was 5 miles away, that would mean that at 5 miles away would be his horizon, and at 5 miles away would be his horizon. But if the actual shoreline is 8 miles away, well, for them to have a horizon perfectly in the middle would mean that they would have to be 10 miles away from each other. But they're not, they're 8. So that means that technically their horizons will cross over from each other, and they will
Wow.
see the horizon at a different position. Did you get that, or was that a little bit weird?
No, it's like there's an overlapping effect of true positions and where the horizon is apparently for each observer.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yep,
It's
you got
kinda
it.
goofy, it's kinda trippy, but I mean, better than a lie, better than being deceived about a freaking ball or curved water, you know?
Yeah, it's really trippy. So with this, if we now just go, let's just overlay a little bit of water to the point right where the horizon is,
Mhm.
well, that's where this is cutting. So if it was perfect conditions, like the conditions were identical at the same side, and then these two observers could be at equal distance from the horizon, and the horizon was, let's say the horizon was at equal distance from each other, this boat being over here, that's what Travis would have been seeing. He would have been seeing more like this, something closer to that. And that's what would have been hidden to him. But due to the inferior mirage brings the horizon closer to you, and it will hide things at a much faster rate.
Yeah. I foresee cool tests being done where you could have conditions where it's like glass water, super, super clear, and then you could, I guess, try to figure out exactly how far the boat is from one shore and then go that distance away. Start playing with distances, kinda come in and out of distances and see what the view is and force the disappearance of the bottom up obstruction because of optics or because of perspective to happen over and over again while knowing water lays level. Just
Mm.
keep dismantling the deception.
Yeah, well, that area that I showed you before, which I called Hallett Cove, or which is called Hallett Cove, we're about to do an observation very shortly. Whenever the next time the conditions are clear, I had a talk with my friend who has a boat, and when the conditions are right, and we're gonna, he only ever wants to really do it when there's very low swell anyway, so it will be quite glassy.
Mhm.
Because on those days, then he can just open his boat up and just go for it. If it's too wavy, obviously he can't just floor it. So he loves it because I pay for his fuel, and then he can just open his boat up and just go hard. So I'm then going to be at 12 and a half miles away. So we'll have 12 and a half miles distance between us rather than where we were before, which was 8 miles distance. And we're going to do it on a day which is a warmer day. So we won't have any miraging, but hopefully we can get a horizon that is somewhere around, and wherever it is, doesn't really matter, 8 to 7, 8, 9, 10 miles away, doesn't really matter. But either way, we're going to have a horizon that has no miraging, and I'm going to be able to watch my boat go up and then start to disappear behind the horizon, and my friend will then watch it come up from the horizon and then watch it start to come down to him. And that's going to happen at all different levels. So I think the next part of it will be also keeping in contact with my friend and getting him to maybe having a GPS or something for him.
Yeah.
Then we can get I can be in contact with him and get GPS coordinates and say, you appear to be on my horizon about now. So mark your GPS coordinates, and then we'll be able to see how far away that was.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Playing around, with this type of stuff. I am going to run to the bathroom real quick. I'm going to play a video while we both step away for whatever needs. And sadly, I don't know if folks have heard or know, PSYOP within a PSYOP, Blair. He worked together with Conspiracy Music Guru on this song that I'm going to play. I actually have the video on my channel. Many have seen it. Blair passed away, and
Oh,
I don't
no.
know the details or anything like that. His
Just
fiance,
recently.
yeah, this was, just within a few months.
Mm.
Big supporter of me. We chatted a bunch, great friend and stuff like that. So a little sad to play the song, but I'm going to start it to see if you can hear the audio, or chat. Let me know if you can hear the audio when I hit play on this.
Okay.
I'll restart it. It's going to be a 4-minute song, so everybody can get a snack. But yeah, there's great people in the chat. Boston Ray just showed up. John Thor's been chilling, hanging with us for quite a while. Daryl Davis, we're rolling in. Harmon Walker. Just legends. I haven't streamed in 8 months, and
Yeah,
Lee,
awesome. Well, hello to all those people.
yeah, they were a couple of them
John Harmon.
shouted out you, and said hi to you already. True Earth
Yeah.
Whisper wrote a book you should grab.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just I don't see the chat, so
Yeah, it's hard. I try not to. I engage a little bit, but I try to stay focused on like what you're sharing and what you're saying. FE Nation rolled in, Coherence. Victoria actually met at Flat Earth. My first Flat Earth thing ever to go to was this one right here,
yeah.
the one in Vegas, and I met her and everything. Question the answers. He was supposed to come meet us because we just did the TrutherCon. He's kind of local in the DFW area. We haven't met yet, but we will. Scott with 1T, Sea Lightning 300. Just thank you all for coming in. It's been awesome. It's been so much fun hanging out with you so far. But yeah, let me scroll down and see if they heard the
Just have me
audio.
on.
No, yeah. Did y'all hear the audio? Because I don't want to play a no sound song. Yeah, it's been fun. So I'm going to drop you off the stream real quick, come back in like 4 minutes, and then we can wrap it up, chit chat. Visit if you want to show anything else, definitely. I think the whole family's asleep, and I'm not in a rush, but I do need to hit the bathroom. So I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Cool.
They say it's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they've been fooled. So can you be open to the possibility that we've all been misled and lied to? About everything, everything they told us about
Oh man,
That's
that
a good
brings back
song. Man.
memories. Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good song.
Great lyrics. Blair wrote the lyrics, contacted CMG, he said, "Hey, would you like to collab with me? And will you sing on this?" Um, CMG's like, man, people reach out to me kind of all the time, but it spoke to him. He
Mhm.
really liked the lyrics, engaged, sang, and then I did the visuals. Like I had never really used Canva, and I was like trying to figure out the background and the lyrics popping up as that was my first go at trying to like edit like that. It took me
Oh, well done.
a long time, and then actually, I need to remember to post in the chat real quick because I did an interview with all the guys. We just all talked. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'll drop it in the chat. It was a good one, and rest in peace, Blair. We love you, and we all aren't here forever. But what we're doing is important. Pursuing the truth, seeking, wisdom and knowledge is good, but it's not the end all be all. Like connecting in love and not being scared of the tyrannical wildness that's going on around us, the darkness. Just being like Paul was saying earlier, being inquisitive, having an inquisitive mind is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, what else do you have to share? If you have any visuals, that's fine, or just like from your heart or from your mind about this whole journey, because we've been going almost 2.5 hours, which
Oh,
seems
really?
like to
Has it been
me,
that
it
long?
seems like 40 minutes. It honestly
Well,
feels like 40 minutes.
let's at least get this. Excuse me. Let's at least just have a quick look at the actual observation that we did of going from between peer to peer.
Oh, yeah,
This
please.
one. Yeah. Am I sharing screen? Have you got me back up again?
Yeah, you're showing your screen's up, your face is there as well. It's good.
All right. This one. Okay. So we've seen now how I described everything and how I showed everything is happening, that we have this visual ramp out in front of us, and the people on the opposite side also have a visual ramp. So let me just, I will just show this quickly again. So I explain this and how everyone has their visual ramp, and we see from side to side, and as the boat comes up and over, the other person will see it from the opposite side starting to appear above, but yet they're seeing it come up as well on their side when they're looking. Now, we didn't have two boats, we only had one, so it's only the equivalent of the one person seeing a boat come up over as the other person's watching it go up as well. But so from here, I got my friend here who owns this lovely little boat. It's actually quite a decent sized boat. It's probably about, 8 meters long, something like that. So close to 30 feet. So it's a decent sized boat. Now, I got them to hold my GoPro, and unfortunately, I should have had the GoPro zoomed out more, where it was just sort of like normal zoomed in. I was hoping that we'd be able to have them watch the horizon moving with them, but the way that the zoom level was on the GoPro, it was still horizon just looked miles away, so it didn't really get the effect that I was hoping. But it was still cool because we got to see what the boat was seeing. Now, as they go up towards the horizon, we see them literally going on this little visual ramp. Now, the next point is I actually wanted him to go straight across. So if we look right at this point right here, that's where I wanted him to go, straight that way. But as I've mentioned in other presentations, I didn't realize or didn't think about the fact that I'm in a special privileged position because I'm looking at this from a zoomed in point. So I can see all the way down here, whereas he can't see that. Right? There's no way he can see this. So his GPS told him to go all the way out here and then to cut back. So my friend over this side, because we had an inferior mirage on this day, my friend couldn't see him at all right now, which obviously you would expect that he wouldn't be able to anyway, because see how he is below the horizon here. So we wouldn't expect that he would be able to see him anyway, just yet. But I wanted him to go straight across, and that way neither of us would have to be looking for him. We could just point the camera straight towards each jetty, and we would just see that boat go dead straight towards each other. So my friend on the other side here was getting a little bit confused and a little bit frustrated because I'm going, look, he's going out to the left. I'm saying he's going out to the right. And he's like, my right or your right? I'm like, you're right, bro. He's going out to your right. And so he was getting a little bit frustrated because he couldn't see him because we had this pretty strong inferior mirage out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've forgotten, I didn't quite line up these properly. This here is the jetty that I was standing on. That's that Brighton jetty. You can see the little tower thing right there. But so now as he gets to the horizon, we see him starting to come right up onto it. Right? Now, as he gets there, my friend still hasn't seen him just yet. So we don't have any vision of the boat yet from his side. And it's now reached my horizon. He would have been able to see it. He probably would have been able to see it around about here, out here somewhere is where he would have seen it. But he was too busy looking, and there were some other boats cruising around as well. So he was getting pretty confused. Couldn't find it just yet. But then probably round about here, it was actually, he was panning back down, and that's it right there. But he didn't
Wow.
see that just yet. So that's what we're looking at. And then I'm like, yep, go to your right. He's like, all right. And he's like, oh, I got it. He's like, I think I got it. I'm like, yep, that's it. Because he was showing me his screen. We were video recording each other, like video talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's it, man. You got it. So then he just started filming it. Unfortunately, he zoomed in a bit too much, which I kind of instructed him not to do. But so then it went blurry, and it didn't lose the blur, but we still get the visuals of what's going on. So now we both still have it in the inferior mirage because there was 2 miles of inferior miraging in between us.
Mm-hmm.
His horizon was 3 miles, my horizon was 3 miles, and there's 8 miles between us. So we had a 2 miles worth of inferior mirage. Now what we're going to see is he's just about to reach my friend's horizon about now, around about here somewhere. So he's now on my friend's horizon, and I'm seeing him disappear to about this level here. So this is what people on the opposite side of the argument would sit there saying, well, this is now going over a curve. But we see how he's got this visual ramp right in front of him, and I have a visual ramp in front of me. Now, this is actually quite larger. I have compressed both of these to fit them both in. So this is actually a bigger ramp on both sides, but just to fit all this in so we could see it, it looks a bit more compressed now. And now as it starts to disappear for me more, we will see that it is now coming down his visual ramp. So now we see it cutting across here, and right at this point here, now I'm starting to lose it. It's almost completely gone for me now. And it's not too much further. Right there. Now it's gone. Now I don't see it anymore. And he's watching it come down his visual ramp. So he's going to now watch it come down, and it's gone for me. So there's the jetty that it's moving towards. My friend is this little blurb standing just here.
Wow.
So he's watching it come down, and we see it getting further away from the horizon. And as it moves further away from the horizon, how do we describe it? The further it moves away from the horizon, the lower it appears to drop below the horizon, until it gets to a point where we can see over here, we can see the jetty up here. And this is where he's starting to see the jetty there now. And we can see the horizon just here. And we see how far below the horizon this boat is. Now he turns the boat around. My friend picks him up again, and we see this visual ramp here. I can't see him. There were quite a few boats cruising around that day. So I'm looking, not sure where he's going to come out. I should have been able to see him about there. But I'm panning around. And then right about here somewhere, we see him right there.
Wow.
So I'm like, yep, I got him. And now we see him come up over onto my friend's horizon, as I see it starting to appear more and more. And it's now on my friend's horizon, probably just cutting past it now. and then I'm seeing it now. It hits my horizon and starts coming back down towards me, while my friend's seeing it in the infrared mirage. And again, he lost focus, which is a bugger. Hopefully next time for the next one, when we've got it just pointed in the one spot, he's not going to muck around with this. We'll go over it more. You know, the more times you do something, the more you learn from each time you do it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is like first attempt, and I wouldn't say it was a failure at all. Like you have a few things you're going to iron out, but man,
Yeah.
seeing it come and go and video and the representation of the rising up and when it disappears and when it shows up on the opposite side, you're with the horizon in the middle. I mean, you're going to have so much fun.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Now, I think because it's really blurry, so he's still just there. He can still just kind of see him. And even when he turns his camera off, I think it was still just here somewhere or something, but
Yeah.
he couldn't see it anymore because obviously his camera was not focused, so he couldn't really see it properly. But now we just watch it return back down to me as it now moves away from the horizon, and it goes down and down and down until my friend just went and chilled over there, and I called him, said, "Yep, awesome, man, well done, thanks for
Yep.
coming." And we see him all the way down here below the horizon.
Yep. And this is what I was talking about. Like, because you see the whole thing below the horizon, you know someone equal distance beyond with the horizon in the middle won't see any of that boat. It's just skirting around on that level water outside of the view of the other person. And that's just a fun thing to imagine.
Yeah, so this was, I mean, it was incredible to go out there and actually do it. And I knew this would happen. Like, I wasn't even, there was no doubt in my mind that this is what we were going to see,
Yeah.
because I'd been filming it for so long. I just knew that it was going to happen, because if I'm filming from that other jetty, I see my visual ramp go up. And then if I go back and I film from the opposite jetty, I see the same thing. I see the visual ramp going up to the other direction.
Yep.
So I knew it was going to happen. It wasn't like there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to see this. And so that's why, and this gets like all kinds of crazy, which I won't bother trying to describe. I can show, I've got other animations for it, but I'll use those animations when we actually get these other observations, because it'll get a little bit confusing. It's not confusing in my head, but it will kind of get a bit confusing for everyone else. But, so when you look at something like this, and we have this guy here who filmed this, obviously more than likely just outside of his house, lives in a beautiful area of the world, I'm sure. I'm sure it's not a chore living right there.
Right.
So all these things that you see that are cutting across the horizon, if someone was on the opposite side of the horizon, that's all they would see. They wouldn't see any of those boats. And to represent that, if we just do that, now someone on the opposite side of that horizon at equal height, equal distance to the horizon, they're just going to see the tops of those boats. They're not going to see any of those other boats. They will be completely out of sight, even those pieces of land. And even then, they would have to have a high-powered zoom camera to see it, because these are probably so small, because they'd be so far away, they wouldn't even be able to see them anyway. They wouldn't even notice that those little, like, look at that thin little mast of a sail. You wouldn't see that from like 15 miles away.
No, but the point's made. I mean, you could, if you could zoom in enough, and if it's a big enough ship, like a huge cargo carrier or whatever, if a bunch of it on this side or that side is below the horizon, then it's going to be chopped off because of how we see. And I like how you've said, like, consistently repeatedly, like, this is just what happens. This is how it works in reality. It's been fun.
It's just how we see. There's this little bit about our cone of vision, which is what you were talking about earlier.
That's fun.
Stuff. So we see the horizon as a 360-degree circle around us that visually appears to rise towards your eye level. It can appear slightly lower. It can appear slightly higher, but it always appears to rise with the observer. Now, for those who don't know or don't believe that it rises with the observer, when we look at this, it's pretty easy for anyone to know what I am doing right now. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that what I am doing is moving myself from a lower position to a higher position. And what happens as I am moving from a low position to a high position, we see the horizon appear to rise with me. Now we know that it's not actually rising. It's not physically rising. This is all an optical illusion. And that's just how we see the world. The entire world, this realm we live in a way, is a form of an optical illusion. Everything we see is through the eyes of optic and through the eyes of perspectives. Now, even when you go up higher, we're at 330 meters here, there is a inferior mirage here. So this is showing us that we're still getting upward refracting light, even from 1,000-foot observation, looking over, this is Mount Canigou, looking over, hundreds of miles, we're still getting this inferior mirage, which a lot of people try to tell us that won't be there. And now that also makes the horizon appear to be lower than it is. Here we have Jesse. This is from Jesse's, where he shows that, on one day you can have a horizon that appears to be 28 feet above you, looking at level, and on another day it appears 20 feet below you, looking at level. But so your height above the surface is what creates the horizon for you, because it's all for us. It's all for you. If I'm standing there with you, but you're only a 2-foot tall toddler, your horizon is different than my horizon. And if someone's 8 foot tall and I'm 6 foot tall, their horizon is different than my horizon. We're not seeing the world the same. We all see the world differently. So this is what this creates a cone of vision. You experience the ground appearing to ramp up towards your eye level, 360 degrees around you. And this creates your perspective, which in relation to the horizon, objects close to you will appear lower in your vision. And as they approach the horizon, they will appear to rise until they reach the farthest visual highest point in your vision, which is the horizon. And once it goes beyond the horizon, which it's moving away from the horizon now, it will now do the exact opposite and visually start to drop below the horizon. But that's how we see. We see in this cone of vision. So this is where I think because of the world is experiencing upward refracting light at all times, and we have this cone of vision, I think this is where concave earthers are getting confused. That's just my personal opinion. Because we create this cone, and what's a cone? It's kind of concave, right? And that's all due to our eye height above the surface, our personal observer height above the surface. And so as you go up, your cone just goes up with you and gets larger, right? So I put here many more miles, like way more miles, because this could be anything. We don't really know exactly how far that horizon is. No one's been up 35,000 feet and actually measured the distance to the horizon. Right? As we've seen, Jay Tolan Media could have quite easily have had the horizon at close to 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
So even though it looks at a certain point, when you actually really look, it could be hundreds of miles past what even a pilot thinks that horizon is. And as you move, your cone of perspective moves with you. And so, I've got this other whole section where we go into that and I show you how that this does actually work, and the different areas that I showed these different observations and how the horizon's moving with us on each one of these observations, where I go to a different point. And each point that I went to, I was on Grange Jetty, and this was my circle of vision. And then I moved to Glenelg Jetty, and then this was my circle of vision. I couldn't see Grange Jetty properly anymore. I could really only see the Henley Jetty or Henley Pier for you guys, and to this point here. And then I moved to Brighton, and I could only see this circle now. So I just showed within these observations that I had here, and I know we're just trying to get through quickly, so I'm not going to go over it. But
no, you're good. I wanted to respond because as you're showing that screen right there, what's amazing is we have this limit of our vision, or this cone around us at the ground, but we also have an azimuthal grid of vision, or a dome of perspective over top of us. I know Dave Weiss calls it the PAD, the personal atmospheric dome. And wherever you go, you take your eyeballs and your perspective of the circling cone around you, the horizon around you, and then also over top of you, the luminaries at night for sure. The daytime, you see the sun appear to rise from the horizon to the zenith and over to the other side. But I think the source sun is at the same height running its course. Now there is question if the sun does like a little bit of a rise and drop as it runs in and out from the equator out, to make the analemma. But I like that in this presentation, and what the work you've been doing has taught me that this circle moves too. I mean, I knew the
Mhm.
azimuthal grid moves with you, but now this horizon circle does too. It's just so cool.
Yeah, well, when I did a different observation, then this was my circle. When I was seeing and I could see more like 9 miles away, then this was my circle. When I was standing on Grange Jetty, I can see all the way down to the shore at a place called Kingston Park.
Mhm.
So now my circle of vision, I can see all of those in one circle, whereas before here, I need to do a couple of circles to get to down here. And this is where it gets kind of really, really kind of trippy in a way. And this is where my other animation was. And I guess I can kind of describe it here. Now, see how we have this upward going here? So you can imagine if there was a person at this point here and he was to watch a boat go from this spot, come towards him, and then go to this spot. He's going to watch the boat come down and go back up again. But this person here, because now this would be his horizon. So imagine this is the middle. That's the horizon there, and that's the horizon there.
Mhm.
But for the person here, the horizon's around about the middle here somewhere. So this
Right.
person's actually going to watch the boat go up because their visual ramp goes up as it goes
Mhm.
away because they're watching it go this side. Being here is the equivalent, and watching the boat go this direction is the same as this guy watching the boat go this direction,
Right.
right? So he would watch the boat go up, but this guy standing here, he's going to watch the boat come down.
Mhm.
So you see how weird the world is?
Yeah, it's
Like in
really
that sense? Like how optical that is, because he's going to watch this boat do that, and this guy's going to watch the same boat but do this. Right. And then when this boat goes off that way and goes up for him, for this person, it's going to now be dropping down. And while then at the same time, this person over here is going to watch it come up. Like it's pretty crazy when you
yeah.
think about how it all works.
It makes me focus or think about like a person's local reality. Like if we had supervision or you could see New York from wherever, like we're not designed to experience life like that. And so, it's a shame that they took perspective how we see that, the how we see the luminaries, how they appear to us, their apparent positions and the ground. And then they sold us a story of what the earth is. But I mean,
Mhm.
we're getting there. I mean, a lot of people are waking up thanks to you and your work. This is
Oh,
fascinating. All of it's fun.
thanks to all of us, man, and thanks to everyone. I mean, people like John Thor's done some just incredible work over the years. It's you here helping the word get out. We're all presenting it. People like Travis and Wide Awake and Sky Free, Heath Carmody, Phuket Word, who's done some great stuff on perspective. BMLS 69, I mean, we can just keep going. All the different people, Taboo Conspiracy, Dave Weiss, just everyone. Everyone has been getting this word out. I'm just now coming and showing a completely different aspect to how we see. So I'm just now adding my little piece in there to help describe what we see. And it's the way I look at it is, in a sense, everyone always knew it was perspective, because we can just take Nathan Oakley's classic old saying that they just hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve.
Mhm.
And he was 100% right, but in a way we didn't realize how he was right. None of us really knew that this was going on, right? I try to say it very humbly, because I don't want to sound like I'm coming across like, yeah, I'm the one who did this. That's
Right.
not what I want to do. So very humbly, I say that, yes, I'm the one who's kind of discovered this, and I'm the one who's putting it out. And I've discovered something about perspective that was never really known before, because we, throughout all of what we know of as history of people thinking we lived on a ball, they just thought that when it went down, it was going over a globe. So
Right.
everything they did was just a reification fallacy, and then they reverse engineered everything to fit that ball. What they didn't realize was we were actually just looking at perspective on the opposite side of the horizon.
Right. I thought about this earlier today, that what you've done is you've left the realm of self, because when you're self, like what you see that's it. It's just the perspective from one position. I mean, I know we talk about other people and other perspectives, but you're taking two observers from opposite sides of the horizon and you're starting to analyze, well, what is going on here in reality? So you had to be selfless to even discover this. So I commend you for that.
Yeah, thanks, bro. And I've never asked for a cent from this, and technically, this has cost me thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
This has cost me a lot of money, and a lot of time and effort. So and I didn't go out to actually prove the Earth was flat. That's not what I went out to do. I went out to film and see what was going on, and then I see things disappearing behind the horizon. I see land that one day I can see the whole of the land, and the next day, 100 feet is missing, appears to be below the horizon. And then I'm standing there for 3 hours, and next thing I know, 3 hours later, I can see the whole land again. So my brain's just going like, okay, well, how do I figure this out? Like, what's actually happening? Not, well, that's below a curve and now it's looming up over the curve. No, I'm just trying to actually analyze what is going on. And then thinking like, well, okay, personally, my bias, and I'm not going to say that I don't have a bias, my bias is the Earth is flat or a level plane. Now,
Mhm.
if it is a level plane, how is this working? What is going on? Because things do clearly disappear beyond the horizon. We can't argue with that. That's what happens. We see that all the time, every time. So it's not that we don't see these things. We just needed to be like, okay, well, what's going on and why is that happening? So I just tried to go out and figure out a way and eventually realized what was actually going on. It was just through inquiry, and it was actually through a lot of stupid little debates with the Globers over that very first thing that I showed you, right? So
Yeah.
that very first thing I showed you with that observation of that jetty in the distance, or the pier in the distance with the tower, and I started really messing with them with that, and then it started clicking to me, going, well, okay, hold on. If now all of a sudden that I'm 20 feet above the surface, there's about 20 feet missing of that jetty in the distance. The buoy is 3.6 miles away from me. There's 8 miles. So that buoy is almost in the center. It's pretty close to the center. I'm like, well, I'm looking at this thing going up. The person on the other side has to be looking at the same thing, all conditions being equal, because we're both we've pretty got the same amount missing the whole way. So that was almost like a perfect ramp meeting in the middle. And then that got me thinking, like, so there has to be this thing going on both sides. And when something hits that point, which is the horizon, that would obviously have to start dropping away there. Because if something was only, say, 15 feet tall and it went all the way to that other jetty, I wouldn't be able to see it. And I know that that can't be Earth curve, because even according to the globe, there should only be about 2 or 3 feet missing. So
Right.
that has nothing to do with Earth curve. And before this, I was already saying that the horizon was just a purely an effect of refraction.
Hmm.
But then this is what actually started clicking me into it. Like, well, that person on the other side would have to be seeing that boat go down as well.
Yep. As you were talking, I just thought, imagined an experiment. The day that the jetty or the little pole that this whole situation that you're talking about, you could have a boat as close to you as possible go away at, a set speed. You could time it to exactly when it hits the horizon line, and then you could watch it disappear. And then from the other side, you could film it back, time it, and then also on a clear day, you could just film the boat going all the way across. And then you're like, it's level water. It is. When the
Mhm.
optics, when the perspective, when the conditions are right to make this happen, just film all that. I mean, you're going to film so many things. I feel like in 6 months, you're just going to have like a whole new gold mine of stuff to mess with.
Yeah, well, the next one that we do, where I was talking about, where I'm going to go to Hallett Cove and we'll watch it go from me to the other guy on the Grange Pier where I normally am.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to get him to come back towards me as well. So we'll watch it go there and back. And then I'm going to drive over to that jetty with the tower. And if we do have at least an 8-mile horizon, when I drive to the tower and the boat comes to me, I will now watch the boat go all the way to the other jetty,
Yeah.
and I will watch it go up, and my friend will watch it come down all the way to him. And then when it turns around, it's in my highest visual position. It's going to come back towards me and get lower the entire way.
Oh yeah.
and my friend will watch it go up, and we'll see that happen the entire way. The boat won't disappear then. So hopefully we do have around about an 8-mile horizon at least, and that way then from the observation going from Hallett Cove to the jetty, that's 12.5 miles. We will both see it go up and over a horizon, and then when I move to the 8-mile point, neither of us will see it go over a horizon. We'll just see it go up or down, and then technically I don't really need any more of those observations because that's everything.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to change. If you did it where you are in your part of the world, it's not going to be different. Like, we don't see this differently in any other place in the world. If you go out and look at boats, those boats don't look any different to you on the horizon or before the horizon than what they look to me. That's how we all see the world.
Yep, exactly. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm probably gonna show a couple pictures from TrutherCon just because it's on my mind, and it was just over this last weekend. Do you want to hang around for me to show
Yeah, man,
those?
go for it, for sure.
Let me see.
I'll stop
All right.
streaming. Stop sharing.
Yeah. Let me know when you can see this first one.
Yeah, I got to get back over here. Yeah, got it.
All right, and I'll just make it full screen, and no, there it is. All right, so this was the stage. I think Jeremiah and Jack and Jeremiah's wife, they did a good job, and Sam was like the event coordinator. He did a good job. Hung out with Whitsitt a bit, and Dave. Met some friends from Discord. Filmed Whitsitt's whole talk, which was really good. He went first. Let's see. Gary took some. These are all just my shots, but meeting Josh from Founded Earth Brothers was a whole lot of fun. He also started Creation Standards. Like, he left 8th grade teaching science and is starting his own curriculum that teaches like the truth about biblical cosmology. Also, about the truth of where we came from, that evolution is not the true answer.
Are you tall, or is he just a bit shorter?
He's a bit shorter. I'm 6'1".
6'1".
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you're not short, though. 6'1".
Whitsitt is 6'2", and I'm 6'1". And then let's see. Dave had a great presentation. A lot of energy, and great slides in the background. It was so fun.
Cool.
Little Jesus is on a ball. We went out to eat. Let's see that picture. Yeah, so we went out to eat, and Hibbler came, which was really fun because I hadn't met him in person. Flat Earth Millionaire, JJ Hemp Creek Bear, Dave Weiss, and some folks from Discord. That was a lot of fun. Jake, just great presenters. I'm going to go back next year. Yeah, so Jeremiah kicked it off. Whitsitt, Gary Wayne spoke, Dave, and then we closed it out. And the next day, Lucas Cameron, Mike Jenny, Josh Keefe, Brother Theo, and Bryson Gray actually came, and he performed. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks like a good day, man. Oh, it was actually a weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Saturday, Sunday. A lot of fun. Good to see people. But yeah, man, I think I'm going to turn it in. It's 10 p.m. here. And so for you, it's like, what, 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, what is the time? Yeah, 1:30.
1:30. All
So
right.
it's been what, 3 hours?
Well, what's funny is we've been going for 2 hours and 55 minutes, which is basically probably about my average marathon time. My fastest marathon ever was 2:51:13. And I've done, so the whole time we talked, just think about me covering 26.2 miles running.
That's crazy. What really buzzes me out about the professional marathon runners, the guys that are at the Olympic elite level, they cover the last 400 meters in like 50 seconds or something.
They're so fast.
Is, like a 400-meter sprinter does it in, what is it? The fastest is just under 40 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're doing it at, like some of those guys are probably running faster than the average person could even run 400 meters without running 26 miles before that.
Right. It's wild.
Incredible.
I mean, my pace is something around like 6:30 pace, and they're like 4:30 or 4:40.
It's just insane.
Which is bonkers.
Absolutely insane.
Well, Paul,
thank you very much for having me, bro.
Thank you, man. I'll link your channel and a few things that we talked about, like I'll rethink about like what we all talked about and put the links in the description probably tomorrow. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, we kind of packed it in. I know you said you wanted to do like 2 hours and maybe part two, but we got through quite a bit. I mean, you're definitely welcome back, especially as you find more and get more videos. We'll just do like a part two next time after you have a collection of things to share. And then I really appreciate the first hour. Like, I think people are going to be surprised at just how fun it was to talk about what's the truth about health. Who are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Because, sometimes we get too like wrapped up in the debate or the topic itself, but honestly connecting as friends, to me, is more important than even the shape of the earth. But I definitely want to know the truth in all things, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I got a lot of love for you and the folks that hung out in the chat the whole time. I know some had to check out because of the time zone differences and stuff, but they'll catch the rest later, and they'll hear me say thank you for being a truth seeker. Thank you for being genuine. Thank you for being unique and inquisitive. And with that, I'll give you any closing words you want to say, and then I'll get us out of here.
Yeah, well, same. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone coming here to listen for the past few hours. I hope that people have basically learned something, or if they've heard this before, if it's just helped get it deeper into their psyche of understanding. If you've never heard it before, maybe you might have some questions about it. But there's been plenty of presentations on it, and I will be doing as many as I can because, as you can see, I feel like this is what's going on. The only real thing that the Globers have against this is coincidence. That it just coincidentally looks that way, and that it would have to look that way on a globe as well. But I think they're going to have a hard time proving that personally, that it would look that way on a globe. So, as I described on Earth Awakenings, that everything that we see in the eyes of perspective. If we're going to draw perspective, or everything that is talked about when we talk about perspective is all over a flat surface. Every time that they mention perspective, they are talking about over a flat surface. Then we have Sky Free, who have done all their experiments over their flat surface floor, and they've gone out to short distances of just a few hundred feet, and had a camera at about an inch high, and technically the horizon isn't for 1,800 feet away. So that's, for even on the globe, for all intents and purposes, that is also basically a flat surface. So and if you go back and you look at Sky Free stuff, then that also shows this exactly what I've just shown. So we go from the micro to the micro to the mini micro to the macro, and it looks the same. Nothing changes, So all I'm doing is showing how all of those different observations work within perspective. So that's the final word for that, and what everyone needs to take away is that basically we've just seen really how our world works with perspective. And I'm just introducing an entirely new thing. And now myself and the Plain Truth, I'm the Copernicus on Discord, we are going to be looking into writing a scientific paper on perspective.
Oh, wow.
I've already started doing it because I think that perspective, because it's not technically a law, and in the full presentation I show how it's not actually written as a law, even though people have called it the law of perspective. It's not an official law, but it should be, because an official law means it's something that happens all the time, every time, under certain conditions. Well, I mean, what happens more than perspective? It is just how we see the world. So how it's not already an official law is just beyond me. So we're going to try to, if somehow we can get it published, which I'm not sure, we may just have to have it open source. But yeah, if we can maybe get perspective written into an actual physical law. And that would be incredible. And then when people go, well, what have flat earthers done? We can go, well, there you go. We got perspective made into a law. Thanks for coming. We did something.
Well done. Well said.
Thanks a lot
Paul,
for having me, guys. Thanks for everyone being here.
Yeah. Peace and love. Take care.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.